Good evening and welcome to your favorite show, Revolutionary Show. First of all, I want to apologize for starting late. This is your favorite Revolutionary Show, Ambazonia this week with Tao Party King. Tonight's program promises to be educative, informative, and motivating as we delve into various important topics. Let's take a closer look at what we will be spotlighting this weekend. Firstly, we will provide situational reports from the home front, observing and analyzing the intricacies, dynamics, and trends. This will give us a comprehensive understanding of the current situation of the war in Ambazonia. In addition, we intend to have a discussion on the recent call from Amnesty International and 16 other organizations for Biya to investigate his own crimes. This raises serious concerns about the accountability of those in power and the need for justice. Another intriguing topic we will explore is the revolution on traditional offices in Ambazonia. We will delve into the recent situation in Fondo, where the runaway fund on throne is under threat. This highlights the challenges and changes happening within our society. Lastly, but not the least anyway, we will engage in a crucial and strategic discussion on the Ambazonian diasporic community. This topic aims to examine whether the diaspora for Ambazonia has been a blessing or a curse. We will analyze the impact of the diaspora's involvement in the freedom quest for our nation. To ensure that we have a well-rounded conversation, we have assembled a panel of revered analysts who will be speaking from different standpoints. Additionally, we are pleased to have a very special guest, Aisha Storm, an African American veteran journalist, activist, and a scholar who has proven to have a special crush on the people of Ambazonia as they struggle to free themselves this time. By addressing the aforementioned topics, we hope to ignite the revolutionary flame within each viewer. Together, let us collectively pursue the quest for freedom in our beloved nation, Ambazonia. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope that you will find this show informative, enlightening, and empowering. We're calling on all those who are watching us on Facebook and on YouTube to invite somebody and continue to share. Tell somebody to tell somebody that we're live. Right after the break, I will introduce my panelists. Stay tuned.
Fellow Ambazonians, NSCD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANSC from Kombone Town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, it go around with arms. They terrorize citizens them for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and they work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians where don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give it 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We did the monitoring from the time when they will notify us of atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it come to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with this terrorist and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that is spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia.
Indeed, short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Good evening, Maisha Storm, Barrister Fru. I saw SOS Zamade a while ago connected. I know Maisha Storm was finding it difficult to listen to that broken, what you call in America broken. That was broken in in Ambazonia. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Do you want to unmute yourself? I'm sure your mic has been muted. I can't hear you. Perfect. I can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Perfect. You're loud and clear now. That's better. No, you're muted now. Unmute yourself.
Now you can hear me.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome to this important program. Barrister Fru, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Paddy. Thank you, and thank you to our guest, our sister from the United States, who will be here to edify us on the goings around the world vis-a-vis us. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It is my pleasure to have. I actually saw Sylvester Zama in a car trying to connect. I'm sure he would have lost connection. Why we hope that we may have Professor Table later in the show. We're calling on all those who are watching us on our social media platforms to continue to share. There's a lot lined up for us today to discuss on. Apparently, Amnesty International and 16 other organizations, after the UN made a blanketed statement a couple of days ago, also calling on President Biya to investigate his own crimes. Nonetheless, it would appear that things are falling apart in the Southern Forum. That's partly my prayer that all the auxiliaries of La République du Cameroon within Ambazonia by some form be destroyed, because I have always believed that we
Yeah.
trust so much structures that are liable to change than our own freedom. Great kingdoms in Europe have changed. So why would our traditional institutions not change? We're told that a brave Shufai is about seizing the throne. We're going to get into all of that. Those are some reports that we'll scope through. But before we even get into all of these reports, it's vital for us to go into our situational reports coming from the home front. What is happening in the home front this week? And Undaunted has details to that respect. Right after that, we'll get our first segment of analysis. Then we will delve into the topics of today. I know we cannot wait. The Ambazonian diasporic community, is it a blessing or a curse? Well, I understand it's a two-edged sword. We need to join La République du Cameroon to disconnect the diaspora from the home front like they're fighting so hard to do. The divide and conquer strategy presents the Ambazonian diaspora as an enemy to a dying economy and an oppressed people. What are the intricacies involved? Why must the Ambazonian diaspora be treated with care and respect? These are all questions we hope to find answers tonight. But before we do that, let's transition into Undaunted and get their briefings of today. Stay tuned.
Good evening, Ambazonians. Well, in the latest news on the ARS Homefront self-defense operations, the valiant Amazonian Restoration Forces successfully neutralized four troops from French Cameroon's Army of Occupation zone of Amazonia over the weekend. This was in retaliation to the gruesome act perpetrated by the Genocido La République CPDN, DDR, BIR allied forces, the ARS of Manu, on the day following the tragic incident neutralized over a dozen colonial La République occupied forces, harvesting a good number of weapons in the exercise.
Well, ABC and TV News sources confirmed that a tragic incident occurred on the 12th of November as Amazonian Restoration forces ambushed a colonial Lara Republic Cameroon military convoy in Bamenda, local government area, resulting in the death of three Lara Republic Cameroon soldiers, leaving several others wounded, in addition to another killed on Saturday, still in the northern zone of Ambazonia. Now, this distressing event further underscores the urgent need of La Republic de Cameroon and the southern Cameroons to look for a way to path their ways in order to end the escalating violence that has already killed over 50,000 people, caused extensive property damage, and forced hundreds of thousands of people to flee their homes.
For weekend, big man for ARF, dem e comot tok say e be first tok sika dis kain palava for republic dat thing wey dey do am. As wey e tok say make all man e be first comot, e give warning say make pipo dem for manu make dem comot for manu first. Say blood go throway sika say republic dem bin don already put plan say manu go be na the next place where heavy groundnut e go throway. But republic thief pipo dem dey comot come full pipo dem for manu say make dem say palava e no dey, say only sika dis palava, so make dem shit no bother, make dem no hear for dis man. Now palava wey don happen country pipo una don see am.
Papa God wey dey for heaven, we will not get any second without you. We stay with you, oh Father. Papa, we dey pray, say this crisis, it don't be above.
Check my mic. I mean, I'm not a technician. I think it's to you just check my mic before anything.
It's like people going.
That won't be my face.
Today the 12th, not in this. But these people go.
That won't be my face.
Ambazonian sincerest apologies for that sound misinterpretation, but here we are with the news again. Now, the ARFs are doing a lot as it relates to the war. In the latest news on the ARF's conference self-defense operation, the ARF
Mami them, papa them, brothers and sisters, fellow Ambazonians. This one are my Patience Abiedu. I want to come today with a very short message. First of all, I'll say, I share to the families where their loved ones be brutally taken away by La République du Cameroon in Manfi on November 6. I want to say, I share. May God give one the strength to endure this nightmare. I want also say, we don't get so many massacres for we territory. And just for remind everybody, may they think about it. We get that one for Santa, the Menka Pinion massacre for May of 2018. When that one be happen, we'll not be done say, well, we'll still get some other kind of massacre then again. That one be touched us to the core. And then for Boya, for July 30th, we'll get another one, 2018. For Donga Mantum and Babesi, we will get massacre for October 2018. Balinyonga for November 22, 2018. Muyuka for January 25th, 2019. Bakundu from February 2nd, 2019. Noni for March 2019. Balinyonga, April 13th, 2019. Manu Forest Massacre, February 2nd, 2019. Bo Massacre, March 2019. Gabu Massacre, February 14th, 2020. Akwaya Massacre, June 25th, 2020. Mother Francisca Massacre for Kumba, October 24th, 2020. Bonge Massacre, March 27, 2021. Another one for Akwaya, June 25th, 2022. Nancho Massacre, July 16th, 2023. And then this one for Manfi, now it just happened, for November 6, 2023. I don't even forget to mention the one where it happened for Batibo for Tiben Massacre for July 12, 2018. When I don't hear all this massacre then, when I just go end small time, when I really just go end small time, and what we get for do, so may not continue. I want through this special message, may go for that people where they say they be with senators and parliamentarians and where they do for foreign land. Say all this massacre they did for their head. All this massacre they did for their head. Because if these people them, where they claim say they be una representative, if they be all come out together for that office, tell La Republic say bye-bye, we not belong here. We will stand with our people. Things for change. So mommy them, papa them, when I demand, may these people, the way they call themselves parliamentarians or senators, may they come out from La Republic, can take care of una. May the massacre them, may they end. May the killing of our people may they end. In the meantime, we continue to pray for God. May He give us strength as we remember all the lost ones. God bless you all. Short live the struggle. Long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Na me, my Patience Abiedu. Thank you.
Fellow Ambazonians, NACD give a 21-gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone Town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, it go around with arms. They terrorize citizens them for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic to Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians we don't capture them, keep them, they torture them, and we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours, 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We did the monitoring from the time when they will notify us of the atrocities, and we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it come to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with these terrorists and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make the take note and make the act accordingly. This one that is spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia.
Yeah, welcome back, Barrister Fru. I think that would be a comfortable place for us to begin this conversation. I would have loved us to start in a place where Asia Stone could just make the purpose why she's here today is to comment on the importance of the diaspora, mostly following the ongoing struggle. But I think it's important for us to start by looking at what is happening. That's an update coming there from the ANC, and it is a major concern all across Ambazonia, where we have those purportedly standing to represent or defend us, literally oppressing the people. Maybe you want to react to that very briefly before we get into the newsroom and get some updates. And I'm trying to see if I could connect Professor Tebo and Sylvester Zama right now. Professor Tebo is facing some challenges, related health challenges, and I'm also made to understand that she is bereaved. But from an academic standpoint, we hope to get her insights on the topics of tonight. But even before we get into that, you have you know what is happening at the home front, and you've heard the ANC spokesperson. What do you think, please?
Thank you very much, Paddy. Since the end of the United Nations General Assembly this year, Cameroon went home with the message that if they are not in control of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, because the first thing is that they cannot stop the ghost towns. The ghost towns are indication that the people are in control of their land. The people are in control of themselves. The people respect the ghost towns. So La Republic developed, as soon as they got that message, they developed a strategy to kill the ghost towns. And what are they doing? First, they recruited some youths, both in Ambazonia and in La Republic of Cameroon, trained them like they are training soldiers, took them to Kutaba, trained them, and unleashed them on the population. Now, they have also taken some enablers within the population to form groups to go around killing our people. The Black Batman is a glaring example. La République du Cameroon is fighting to kill the ghost towns, and I have news for them. You will not succeed to do anything about ghost towns because it's a signal of this struggle. For 7 years, ghost towns have existed. You have done everything within your powers to kill it. It's not by killing our people that you will kill ghost towns. You are wasting your time. And anybody, I'm giving this message to all the populations of the southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. If you see in your quarter, in your neighborhood, somebody who has just come back from training from La Republic training, military training camp, report immediately to the restoration forces, to your quarter heads, and to those that you trust. And you take immediate action by protecting yourself, because that person has been sent to monitor the population so that the Cameroon army can come later on and kill all everybody in your quarter. Take this message very seriously. La République du Cameroon is on a vendetta to kill our population so that they can stop the ghost towns. They will not be able to do that because we trust our civilians. We trust our populations. Our population is a resilient population. They have paid the ultimate price. We have lost more than 50,000 people, and yet they are resolute. But that does not mean we will not be able to protect ourselves. Let everybody understand that La République is about to annihilate young people, women, children, and even the old in our territory, because they have been told that we are in control of our territory, and that the glaring example is that they cannot do anything about ghost towns. And I'm saying that they have not been able to succeed to do anything in the last 7 years of this war. They will not do it now. That's my immediate reaction, Paddy.
That's quite important. Sylvester Zama, I can see your sound there. I know you are driving on the highway. That's how wonderful you people are. Please, can you put on your camera right now? I know you are driving, but I can get your sound. Do you want to put on your camera and make a contribution very briefly before we proceed? I can actually get your sound, but I can't see your image, please. SOS Zama, please. I can get your sound, but I want you to, this is something important. It's in your field. I would like to get your input. Now, while we're waiting for SOS Zama to give his input, HR Storm, you've been a journalist for decades, and even as we speak right now, you are a researcher. Your concern has to do with the suffering peoples, not just in Africa or in the Black communities in America, but you have a very clear concern about the situation in Ambazonia. If you have to advise those who are supposedly enablers used by the oppressor to inflict mayhem against their own people, what will you tell these young boys that are being manipulated against the freedom of Ambazonia?
What would I tell who? Excuse me?
What will you tell? Can you hear me? I just want to be sure that you can hear me. Can you get me?
Yes, yes.
I understand that you have been following up on Ambazonia for some time very closely, and you have a heart towards oppressed people. As we Ambazonian people are fighting for our liberation, you have the enemy using people among us, manipulating some among us against us. What would be your advice toward those who are victims of such manipulation and they are creating men on the Amazonian people?
Okay. Yes, Patty, thank you for asking. Also, thank you for having. I am. I'm so extremely concerned because of the longevity of this. I didn't expect in our civilized world, so to, um, that this could go on, go on, go on. Lives are being lost. The only thing I see and the only thing that will ever in my heart. I, I, I don't understand how this can be happening. I feel that Americans are just not in the know. I don't know why they're not in the know. I um, I felt a surge rising to bring them into knowledge because there is a connection to us in Africa and us in America as African Americans. There's a connection, there's a direct connection, there's a direct obligation and responsibility that we need to be awakened to. I am not understanding what's blocking that. And it seems a little bit of information trickles through to America, and then it seems to be like a flame that goes out. In my view, I don't know why that is, but I know that lives are being lost as this disconnection is happening. Even something like a massive worldwide prayer visual where people are handed the baton to pray about all of this because, especially in America, prayer is important. People believe in prayer. They believe in their own prayers. They believe in the power of their prayers. Um, so if I have any recommendation, I have that kind because I'm not seeing what's going on as being the effective thing that brings the world into this and makes this stop. I don't understand what was just said in my presence. I'm baffled that crimes are committed and we're telling the criminal to investigate the crimes. I don't even know how such a thing can happen, how such an order can come past intelligent minds. So I have my sets, I guess I will call it, of confusion because I can't grasp where the disconnect is. All I know is that lives are being horribly or lost, wasted, and abandoned. And uh, I don't know what else to say. My heart always breaks for it, but what leaves me in this place of understand is that I feel like, what can I do? What can I do? What can we do? What can America do? I just feel like something needs to happen to bleed this into America because we were brought here for such a time as this. We were brought here to be integrated into the most powerful nation in the world. We are here. We are part of America, us African Americans. We are the ones who can make all of this end. And so my advice is find the disconnect and remove it.
That's amazing. There. Thank you very much. Barrister Fruit, it would appear that we're getting some, maybe your neighbors are distracting again. We're getting some
They might,
sound coming.
it's my neighbor. It's my neighbor's
Yeah.
party, and there's nothing I can do about it. They play
Always,
music all over the place.
so just mute yourself. When you want to speak, you unmute. We're getting reports from Amanda, and I think I'm relaying this to the interim government to take action. The ANSC, this is time for you to take action. We're actually getting reports from Amanda, some from a very reliable source, stating why the ghost town is, or the calculated attempt to interfere with the ghost town. And so we've been informed that the University of Korea and Bamenda have organized or are currently attempting to organize school classes. Maybe I will have to just mute you and when you want to speak. So the University of Bamenda and Boya are organizing school classes on Mondays, and some secondary and high schools. They are doing so under the pressure of the colonial administration, and there need to be a stop to this. I hope this information will get to the quarters that be, so that some orders, some laws within the nation of Amazonia will be respected. It is an assault against those who have lost their lives for you to defy the ghost towns. You are saying that their blood means nothing to you. You're saying that the lives of those who have passed actually means nothing to you. And be advised that when you chooses during this critical time of war to act at variance with others from those who have weapons, you have placed yourself a credible military target, and you will have yourself to blame for that. Be advised. I made to understand that Undaunted is ready. Unfortunately, we are finding difficulties to get SOS Zama. I made to understand that Undaunted has some reports on situations on the ground. Right after that, we will speak briefly on this and to our next topic. So stay tuned.
Oh well, sincere apologies for all of the technical mishap that we've experienced today. Now, because of how important the news of tonight is, it is imperative that we must bring it to you regardless of all of the technical hitches here and there. But let's start with all of the ARF's efforts in the home front, all of the protection, all of the guidance, and all of the neutralization they've been able to do so far this week. Now, in the latest news on the ARF's home front self-defense operation, the ARF successfully neutralized all troops from French Cameroon's army of occupation in the northern zone of Ambazonia over the weekend. This was in relation to the gruesome acts perpetrated by the genocidal Lao Republic of Cameroon, CPDM, DDR, forces. The ARFs of Mali on the day following the tragic incident neutralized over a dozen colonial Lao Republic of Cameroon forces, harvesting a good number of weapons in the exercise.
Well, our sources confirmed the tragic incident that occurred on Sunday, November 12th, as Amazonian Restoration Forces ambushed the Colonial La Republic military convoy in the Menda local government area, resulting in the deaths of three La Republic soldiers, leaving military occupation, leaving several others wounded, in addition to another soldier that was killed on today, still in this particular area. This distressing event further underscores the urgent need of La République, the southern Cameroons look for a way to part ways in order to end the escalating violence that has already killed over 50,000 people and caused extensive property damage and threats of thousands of people to flee their homes.
For weekend time, ARF dem big man comot can talk say sika dis palava wey Republic dem dey ever do am. E talk how e bin don first give some serious warning for country pipu dem for dat side for Manu, say make dem comot for Manu first, say make dem comot so dat me blood e no throway like the way wey e throway. Sika say Republic dem bin dey already put Manu like their next place wey dem go throway heavy groundnut for there. But the Republic ti pipu dem dey full with pipu, tell dem say make dem shino back and say make dem no fear nothing. Colombian Republic na so e don continue do sotey last na see how dem kill pipu dem for dat side for Manu.
Well, still on the firepower on the ARFs, the Ambazonian Restoration Forces of Bello local government area of Boyo County have wiped out 3 La République du Cameroon colonial military from the surface of the earth. The operation took place still on Sunday, November 12, 2023, with the outcome of this operation captured in a video that is in circulation. There is a representation of 3 automatic firearms collected by the Ambazonian Restoration Forces from their enemies and a display of one of the corpses as of the successful operation. Boyo County is one of the strong zones of resistance by the Ambazonian Restoration Forces from the La République du Cameroon colonial terrorist forces.
Now, the successful operation on the part of the Ambazonian Restoration Forces is coming just 6 days after La République du Cameroon colonial forces provided a human shield to big wings and loyalists of the Cameroon's People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) as they were celebrating the 41st anniversary of their party leader and ruler Mobia. The stomach-driven politicians have taken refuge in La République du Cameroon's political capital. Now, the colonial military is paying the price for accepting to allow themselves to be used by a gang of soon-to-be dead individuals. Now, Master Kimbi has an option.
Promote culture fine, but today so the life end for the number 23 day for October, as where it be the back turn for some celebration so. Torina say some moto be jamming on top bike for Conan Tarikul Market. Colonna City Council head boy them. They never do nothing for clean the dirty. We come up for Tarikul Market with the house them for corner. And this dirty so you worker enter outside for road. Bike man will be carried this star boy. Wrong go tea for hospital. We put back to the far side. Say as where them reach hospital so star boy die. It shows that the road so with the flop on top. Now one of the BBT them where they cause the star boy accident will be make he die. Seb driver them, they complain all time as how we dirty don't cover the road and all place black na black just with the dirty. And place a motor in the past step, you don't small Sika say dirty don't cover all side. The two talk say all the smell where the place is smell. Say if you stand, sell for 500 meters, the smell will still run can knock you fine. Mulang when I some taxi man talk say no be only dirty we flop for road so because the kind accident so. But in a two Sika say the road over small and the thing we road small so. Female calm, maybe the accidents will happen. As well the things will be happen for the number 23 day for October. Colonna City Council them for Bamenda, they may run so go for the space, go clean the dirty. And as well they do and so, people they start talk say, true, this Colonna City Council people them, they start and well, say this dirty so, if it cause baby accident, but they also live on for day, so they true, accident no happen. For plenty hear them, Colonna City Council them for Bamenda, which their work people them, and their mayor, don't the work say, may make present clean small, but he sure say the work where they do they know the work and find no small. With the so see dirty as if flow for all side for inside Bamenda. And this dirty so it cause plenty problem there. This Colonna City Council people them, they put this their work so where they no fit do for on top this we war for Ambazonia, we be start since for 2016. Then talk say, now why that way, they no full work fine. Say, now why that way, dirty flop for all side, for road them. Some person will be plenty. On top this dirty palava, so it talk say, made a public people them, made a check now for do two way they call them say, the cycle. For make them, me do two way they don't use them, turn better thing again. Therefore the worker carry dirty for one side, with the flop and for other. Sika say, Natina way these people then they do them. For inside by men na so, the plenty dirty so, you worry all side. As way the dirty water, where people they drink them, where people they use them for horse. And they too dirty air for all side. It make them present the smell plenty. My country people them, for Starboy where we don't go, seek out this accident where we get and so, they will put it for ground for the number 4 day for November. For a family compound, for Ntamafe, for Mancon. Family people them, for Starboy Toxi, for Colonna City people them, for show honor, or for respect Starboy die, me the waka, clean all side for inside Bamenda. Sika say, this dirty so, you have caused plenty problem then. Now to read that, until Starboy die, which are the press say, me family people them, get power for supporting that loss. I'll leave them back for you to the picking. My country people them. To do a common bello, now say we ARF them for bello. They don't send period for them straight for ground. This thing so happen. Now for Sunday, the number 12 day for this month. This thing will happen so we come up for instance on video with worker for all side. They don't show to avum them where they take them for this republic them. And they don't to show that die body them. For say more people them sabi and say that true thing will happen. Bello, now one of that county them way that ARF them. They put plenty power for drive the republic them. Say me they come out. The ARF, their operation, we don't come out fine so. Just happen now 6 days after we colonial people them. Still we run the third the bad politician them. They stay only, they didn't find. But in other equilibrium so the list of a plenty. Sika say they don't leave them. With this wicked politician them, they use them to do all that baba work them. My country people them. Now so it take happen for that side for Bello.
To you that there was a planned attack to happen in Tuba. Now, the following report provides details gathered from reliable sources regarding a potential plan by the Northwest Etet Major to carry out another massacre in Tuba local area of Mason County, despite the ongoing mourning period in Ebaco's tragedy. Now, the meeting in question held on the 12th of November 2023 and included various stakeholders, and it was aimed to strategize the elimination of the Ambazonian Restoration Forces, the ARFs, in the region. Now, this particular report that we are giving back to you again today aims to shed light on the situation and urge those collaborating with the enemies to reconsider their actions.
Now let's have a look at the detail of the meeting. Well, according to unimpeachable information, the NW, quote, Etat Major gathered prominent individuals such as CPDM internals, elite security apparatuses,
fund and quarter heads from Tuba, as well as representatives from neighboring counties. The objective of the meeting was to provide intelligence and support to the government in their mission to eradicate ARFs in Tuba local government area. So from this information, from an unimpeachable source, you get to see the plans of these gathering, basically to get intel on everything about the ARFs and then eliminate them. And this is why we get to see series of massacres in Ambazonia, and then people still wonder who perpetrates this act. Is that even a question? When you have meetings like this going on, in quotes saying the objective of the meeting to provide intelligence and report to the government in their mission to eradicate ARFs. What does this tell you? Eradicate ARFs simply means to get them basically out of the surface of the earth, to eliminate them. And then people get to wonder who is perpetrating these massacres. After this kind of meeting, you get to see massacres like that of Ebeko, among so many others. Well, here are some concerns and warning. It is crucial for funds, quarterheads, and individuals collaborating with the Cameroonian military to be aware that their involvement has not gone unnoticed. They should be cautious in their actions as they are being closely monitored. This report issues a stern warning to cease and disease from this kind of collaborations, collusions with the genocidal junta. What do you stand to gain joining forces with the enemy to kill your own brothers and sisters? The preservation of innocent lives should be the priority for everyone involved.
This particular story where my country people in Nakaso, my country people na Northwest Eta Major, he deep plan for make sure say he kill we Ambazonian people them. Now way he whole meeting for Sika say he want to say make people them for Tuba LGA, me the gang, me the gather their skin, for see how way they go chakara we ADF them any side of the day. This meeting saw my country people hold now for number 12 day for inside this very November moon 2023, where it be say Republic them plan and say any Ambazonian person, any Ambazonian warrior they way they fight for country, me the kill for Sika say they no want to see them again.
All right, moving on, still on the state of the war, La Republic of Cameroon imposed traditional ruler in Bagan using the military. The Yaoundé regime of Pobia is a government that finds pleasure in seeing the people of the southern Cameroons in misery and pain. The colonial militaries perfectly executing these evil plans. There are indicators of the fact that the BS regime is not comfortable when the people are in a state atmosphere. Whenever community is in harmony, the colonial administrators send in the colonial military to destabilize them. This is a strategy to distract the people from their real fundamental issues that needs to be addressed for a better country. One of the ways La République du Cameroon is destabilizing communities is by imposing unwanted traditional rulers on the people.
Well, there is now chaos in Bangen, a village in La Republique's west region, as the colonial administrators are imposing an illegitimate individual as the traditional leader of the people. In an attempt to protest his enthronement, live bullets were rained on the protesting villagers. How can a colonial administrator, a stranger, claim to know better than notables who are by tradition the rightful persons to ascend the throne?
Bagam na village for inside West region for Colonial Republic, and it dey inside big confused and as well Colonial Republic ekelebe dem intervode scatter all place with the granite. The scatter place for these people them for any kind of way and any kind of style. As they do am so my country people to enter say the granite e kill some person for day. This shooting so it happened na for number 16 day for November 2023. And this palava happen so na have a columnar governor he send a kelebe them with some in governor them too. Say me they come force them for Bakan village, me then green some person where they no want them, me it be their chairman and their fund for that side.
Okay, just in case you thought they were just, shooting randomly in the air, no. Because a confirmed report assures that about 6:30 p.m., one person was dead from this random bullet sprays, with many others wounded and injured as the La Republic's military opened fire on the villagers who were protesting this unprofessional move by the colonial administrators to defy their own culture. Now, worthy to note is the fact that the notables and the population have protested the enthronement of this fund and demanded a certain prince, who, according to the custom and traditions of the people of Bagam, should rather be enthroned and not the La Republic government fashioned fund. Well, the imposter fund came to the village well guarded by the La Republic's military and accompanied by colonial local officials, faced with an angry population who had been protesting his rule. The colonial gendarmes opened fire, and the consequences, as mentioned above, it's been recorded though, where one person died due to this. The Bagam people have held a series of revolt for weeks, women going naked just because they are against the enthronement of someone who is not by tradition legitimate to be there.
Bagam na some village where never ever sabi palava, and them never ever get fights on top palava land. But now, Zinek yam the people them don't bring big palava, and now so blood is the throw away for outside, for anyhow, for inside that side for Bagam. This palava for chairman so for Bagam where the MT, the first one they move it for chair, we no man don't know why they move this man. This innocent man they carry for that side straight from Gata, where in a pobia he do this bad work so my country people. They pay them, they become for they enter for that side for Bagam, cash people them for they, do them all kind bad thing. And since this chairman he go from Gata, now they force people they say, if they do another one, they bring them another chairman where he go shindon for that chair.
Oh, well, still on tonight's report, before we move on with other reports we have for you tonight, Mr. Tar, I'm sure that you have a lot to analyze with all of the ARF's activities for the week.
Thank you once again, Nye. I'm very happy that you've been able to enforce some of the things that are happening within the home front this week. It's quite interesting that we would have reports coming up like that, and it's like a cycle of things that are happening and happening every day. But please, Mappy, you're back.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you follow up the report.
That is a prelude to what may be what may happen in Kumbu or in Bui when the new phone, if ever there will be a new phone, will be installed by the people following their tradition. The phone of Kumbu has been living in Yaoundé as an enabler and is unrepentant. He's an unrepentant CPDM militant. He has declared so himself, and he has been living in Yaoundé since the early days of this struggle. The Ambazonian Restoration Forces even invited him to come back and take the throne. I mean, the warriors. Everybody saw that feed. Everybody saw that video where they were inviting him to come back and take the throne. Since he has not come back, he has abandoned the throne. And now the people are preparing to put another person to replace him because the Zo clan is so big.
I know you're very eager to get into that. But before we get into that, we've seen the defense at the home front. The firepower keeps escalating. That notwithstanding, there are other issues that are getting some complexities, which is what I would like you to comment on, so that we move into the aspect that will concern Chester more. Then we'll conclude tonight with the issue in Bui. Let's talk about
before I say anything, I'd like to comment a little bit on what our sister said. I want to inform our sister that the major networks in the United States and around the world do not cover things from Africa. In fact, a lot of things are happening on the continent that are so serious that threaten the peace and security of the world. And major networks like CNN, like, those that cover the world, they are not interested in Africa. At one time, they covered a little bit about the war in Sudan. The war in Sudan is still raging on, and nobody is covering it. You want to know that the war in Ambazonia has been on for 7 years, and there has been no coverage from the international networks. Therefore, Americans have not had the luck to see or understand what is going on in their homeland, particularly our brothers in the United States. They are part and parcel of us. They are stakeholders, but they are deprived of information coming from the homeland by the international press. So that is the point I wanted to make. That what she's saying is exactly correct. Americans don't know much. They don't know that people are being killed. They don't know that a war is raging in Ambazonia for the last 7 years, and it is not their fault because the press discriminates against black people, and they do not cover anything from Africa that will inform our brothers and sisters living in the diaspora. Because I consider every black American on this land like somebody living in the diaspora. Because Africa is home for all of us. And if they are not informed, it is because the international press has marginalized coverage on Africa for whatever reason, we don't know.
But can I?
Yeah,
Sir,
you're eager to make a contribution to that. Please go ahead, please.
Yes, I'd like to add other for other press, not those networks. What I'm saying is there are millions of churches in America. You have all kinds of people who are loyal to this movement. You pull them out as a team, 1,000 of them or so. You assign, you divide all the churches in America into 1,000. You assign each person those churches to send a prayer visual to that church connected with information. They don't have information. If every one of those churches had this information that they were committed to sharing, then look at how this would thread information through the country. That's just an on top of my head type concept. I'm saying to you, the people are the press now. You can see it. You can see it. Yes, networks still hold the power because they're still working with the budget, and they're still working with things that makes them look as if they are the press. They are not the press. The people are the press. Look at Facebook and the this and the that. You can get the word out. The word can get out, sir. It can't be locked down inside those forces, because if it is, it would never break free. It would never break free because they're not going to let it break free. It's getting the information to the people, because I know Americans. I do. I'm American. And I know that there's a heart beating in Americans for people who are are killed like this mercilessly. And so I'm just saying that sometimes when we look at a result and we think that that result is all we have, then it's like the grasshopper effect in the jar. Once you take the cap off, the grasshopper is not going to jump any higher than where that cap was. We are not blocked by the networks anymore. It takes getting your loyal constituents, your people who are out there, who want to do something, who care, who are not experienced journalists. It's true, but everybody with a phone now is a journalist. Everybody with internet connection is a journalist. You can get them to connect to the different churches. That's just an on off the top of my head type thing. There are many, many, many ways for you to integrate this information into America, and and we have to integrate it in there, or else you are alone on this island fighting this mad war with vicious people who you are never going to be as vicious as they are. Even if you are defending yourself, I'm listening to you. You're a man with character and heart, and so are the other people around you that I'm listening to. You're not going to go out and steal their people and murder them. You're not going to go out and burn their people alive. You know, but you can get connections to people who have power.
You see, I'm enjoying what you're saying, Asia Storm. You're making us to have some hope. You're now not accepting the blame of what we call the mainstream media. And I agree with you because the concept of digitalization, multimedia, has revolutionized entirely the media as it was in the 80s when you were probably performing as a journalist, or in the early 90s. So our question right here is for individuals like you who are in support of our plight, you have a heart towards our plight. How do you think we can sufficiently mobilize the African American community, most specifically, and the American community as a whole, to be partners? I'm talking about active partners of our liberation movement.
Wow, what a beautiful, wonderful question that I want to be able to answer. Um, I know that um, Americans now, especially Black Americans, have proven who we are, and our ability to come from being oppressed and treated as if we are nothing to becoming who we are today, a president of a country, a first lady of a country, of the entire country. The work has been done. We have proven who we are, and this comes from our African heritage, our African blood. This comes from our strength and our dignity that's innately a part of us. So getting to them, I've seen you get in touch with certain organizations, and it was a good thing, and they were supposed to do things, and then I don't see the things done. They may be being done because I'm not in touch. I'm studying to be a doctor of forensic psychology, so I can really dig my heels into this and make it happen, make answers come. You know, so I haven't been able to really look as deeply as I want to look. But what did they do? You know, I know you got in touch with them, and I know they're supposed to be this incredible icon of an entity that can reach out to the Black community in America, but they're not reached out to. And that's why you hear me say coming down to the grassroots person to get in there and start to pull that information into the country so that the country is talking about it, so that the country is knowing about it. I can't stand the fact, I'm talking about volunteers, comes when I know that little babies are being brutally murdered and nobody's doing anything. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody's moving any mountains to save these children. I'm saying that if that ain't working, and then we're talking about years passing of more children being added on and more women being added on, and of course more men being added on who are slaughtered. You know, I'm saying there's other answers. You're asking me what is the answer on this level. It's like, answer up here where the networks are? What is the answer up here where the powers that be are? These people ain't doing nothing. That's all I'm saying. If they was doing anything, I would say, yeah, they're the ones for us to look at. How do we change them? How do we do them? And we were considering doing a walk on the White House, and I wish we had been able to bring that to fruition, so that we could be there, not in a march, but in the corridors, in the seats, talking to the legislators. Um, so I hear what you're saying, and I see you thinking maybe that I'm slighting where the problem is with these networks. How do we get these networks to stop doing this? Because I saw journalists on here who made me so angry I wanted to fight them. You know what I'm saying? Because they weren't saying nothing, and one even disrespected one of the officials. uh, I, I don't know how to tolerate this, and I believe there are many other Black Americans and other Americans who feel like I do, who don't, who won't tolerate disrespect and dishonor of people who have already suffered, who are fighting their way up. I'm saying that there has got to be a way, and it's got to be a way that does not include these clowns who are able to see people being massacred, and it just goes on like it ain't nothing. Like it's no child being murdered, laying in bushes, you know, or children being brought behind guns and sent off to be trained to come back and kill other people. You know, yeah, I understand what you're saying, Patty, and I do wish, other than that, I wish I had some technical, newsworthy, um, you know, response that I could give you where these entities are concerned. But when you have evil, and it's evil, I don't care who they are. I'll tell anybody who knows this is happening, and it still keeps happening, that is evil there. There's evil at work there. And when evil is at work and blocking all the doors and blocking all the windows, how are you going to get in to change these powers that be? Except to go in past them, to take other entrances in. And there are ways to do it. So many of you who are so amazing. Your news team, I mean, people who I'm sitting with my mouth dropped on the expertise and the eloquence, and the way things are being handled, you know? But I'm saying we have to send that, or you have to send that power surging through the right entrances, where there are
So
doors that
it's
can
it's
open
all
that they're
about
not looking.
having the right people in the right places, doing the proper networking to ensure that the right persons could take the right actions. Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
That's amazing.
And they don't have
Now,
big names.
yeah,
They don't have big names. They don't have to be powerful positions. You got all these people right there. They are there. They're everywhere. You and so many of
yeah.
them. You know, signed to
They don't have to be
attention.
big names. They don't have to be the rightful positions, or the government positions. And I agree with you on that, because even the big names are made up, are made by the people. Without the people, it's all about the people, which is important. Now, in recent days, we've had an escalation of the colonial administration's atrocities in Ambazonia. Um, about 10 days ago, the United Nations made a statement that was considered blanketed, a statement that has been criticized by many. It was People now consider the United Nations as a toothless bulldog. We spent a lot of time last week analyzing that. And sometime this week, we'll also have a similar report coming in from Amnesty International and other human rights organizations. The striking and the shocking part of it all is that these organizations are calling on BIA to investigate the crimes. A crime that can possibly would have been committed by his own army under his own command. That is indeed an apology. Before we even move into that, we want to get into the story and get the details of this report. Right after that, we will observe what it really means and give our perspective to it. So stay tuned. While we're moving back with Undaunted to see if Undaunted can is Undaunted ready to see if Undaunted can give to us that report right now. Stay tuned.
Confirmed.
Thank you so much, Sir Paddy. Well, yeah, in the course of the week, we talked about the Amnesty International's call for investigation into allegations of human rights violations. Well, in recent developments, this human rights organization, including 16 human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, have intensified pressure on the colonial genocidal government of French Cameroon to investigate the alleged atrocities committed by its military in Ambazonia. The Ambazonian struggle has gained momentum on the international stage, with the Mamfe massacre serving as a catalyst. Even the United Nations Secretary General's office has condemned these atrocities and called for immediate action and dialogue amongst stakeholders. While critics argue that the UN recommendations lack specificity, the fact that the international community is finally acknowledging the plight of Amazonia is a significant step forward for their freedom quest.
All right, so let's get the details of the Amnesty International report. Now, ABC Amber TV News received information about Amnesty International and 16 other organizations pressurizing the government of La Republique du Cameroon to launch an immediate investigation into the allegations of human rights violations in the war-torn region of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. These organizations are urging the La Republique du Cameroon's government to prosecute all those responsible for these acts, both within its own military forces and the Ambazonian Defense Forces. Now, the report you'll be hearing next by Gab Ellison will provide further insight into the calls made by Amnesty International and the other organizations in their pursuit of justice for the affected population. The investigation will seek to uncover the truth about the brutal acts committed during the conflict and ensure that those responsible are held accountable. Gab Ellison.
The call is among 5 others made public by the College of Human Rights Organizations on Tuesday, November 14, 2023, in a joint declaration on the sidelines of La République du Cameroon's Universal Periodic Review, which comes up every 4.5 years. The Universal Periodic Review is a moment when each UN member state undergoes a review of its human rights records by other states at the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, and November 14th was LRC's turn. The College of Human Rights Organizations, in calling on the UN member states to produce strong recommendations for the protection and respect of human rights in the southern Cameroon, also called on the annexationist Yaoundé government to accept the recommendations and take necessary measures for their implementation. In denouncing abuses on both conflicting sides, the organizations call on the colonial LRC government to immediately investigate into allegations of human rights violations committed by its cruel armed forces and so-called Ambazonia defense fighters, ADF, in the conflict-hit southern Cameroon by ensuring the people arrested in the context of the genocidal war are promptly brought before an ordinary court that upholds international fair trial standards and not the military court, as is the case. The Yaoundé government has also been called upon to immediately and unconditionally release all people arbitrarily detained in the context of the Ambazonia War of Independence. Finally, they called on the annexationist Yaoundé government to protect journalists, human rights defenders, and activists who receive threats for having documented or denounced crimes committed by the junta and her allies in the context of the conflict. Gab Ellison reporting from Daunted, ABC Amba News.
Thank you, Gab Edison. Amnesty International, which is some other different humanitarian organization, they try for make power, for put power inside this palaver where it happen for country. And they push say Republic governor, if see away all these people then they do this bad thing, me then catch them. That's why them they talk for the governor people them. So means they do proper investigate for catch these people the way they do bad thing them and say me then do for say justice. He come back for the victim the way they suffer for inside this thing and say me this fight too is stop. Makombi only it don't really bogey tori and una beer. But we still talk for say plenty better thing the way this country go still get if amnesty continue for the put this power. So that make this republic they stop all this nonsense. Not be now they supposed to do and we call for all different organization them me dey gather, me dey come for one mob, put power for say me the struggle is stop. And we see say me dey well, e look am because na our own work for say we show people them for outside, Mokala people them and different people them, wetin dey really happen for inside Ambazonia so that all them they go see am fine and they go come kasi say Ambazonia and the two Cameroon them they get justice last.
Oh, well, of course, speaking to, I totally agree with you. Now, the international attention garnered by these efforts represents a pivotal moment for the Amazonian struggle, and it is imperative for the world to continue discussing and taking actions against these grave violations of human rights. Only through a collective effort can lasting peace and justice be achieved in La Republic du Cameroon and Ambazonia.
Oh, well, we still have our analyst, our news director, Mr. Tapati King, and our analyst who'd like to make some comments about particular development would be heading to their studio now.
Thank you very much, Star Smart, for that report. Thank you very much. Fortunately, we've successfully we're having Sylvester Zamat joining us, coming at an hour that is much needed, and we've tackled some issues that were in your domain in your absence. I actually saw you were driving home, which can tell us the challenges you possibly have been facing. Now we will get back into defense before we move into buoy and the last topic of the day. But let's just tackle this issue with Amnesty International, and I should use that as a welcome to you, Mr. Bia. According to Amnesty International and some about 16 human rights organizations are calling on Bia to investigate his own crimes. What do you have to say? Welcome to this important program.
Thank you, Mr. Paddy. Thank you, fellow panelists. I think it's always a mistake. We are always expecting something that's not in their purview in La République. La République not even investigate basic crimes in the country, let alone complex issues like war crimes. It's difficult to see that international organizations that are supposed to be mediating in this issue are throwing the ball back to Mr. Pobia to investigate himself. Very rarely does that happen in a good faith, even in good times in advanced countries. There's always a third party that does these investigations. We've had these investigations before. We had it in case of Garbo. We had it in case of the massacre in Kumba, in Tumbel, in Mayuka. Nothing has ever come out of that. They've always said they've arrested somebody. Nobody sees that person who's arrested. Nobody's identified. Nobody's sanctioned. Nobody's imprisoned. They always say they are always investigating. There's at some point an investigation comes to a culmination, to a conclusion whereby the culprits are picked up, judged, and sentenced to prison sentences or punished according to the laws of the country. There are no such laws in Cameroon to kill an Ambazonian. There's nothing. We have a case in Kumba where the district officer went to a market and drove up traders. If they don't show up, they'll be shot, and nobody can ask them anything about it. That's the impunity that goes on in that place. We are not expecting anything different from them. They are not going to investigate anything. So all these organizations, international organizations, are foolhardy to assume that there will be some investigation. We've had this past behavior is a prediction of future behavior, and I don't expect anything different from them when it comes to that.
That's quite an intriguing response there. Barrister Afro, you from a legal perspective, I know you've said a lot about this already, but this kind of anger provoking that we're having those that should be professional on the subject calling on Bia to investigate his own crimes.
Yes, sir. Two things. From my understanding, La République du Cameroon is a member of the Human Rights Council in Geneva. They were put in there, forcefully put in there by their mentor, France. La République du Cameroon, all the atrocities the army is causing on the people of Ambazonia, they are doing so on behalf of France. They are just a proxy for France. And all these human rights organizations are financed by the world. They do their job. I don't quarrel with their job. They investigate, they write reports, and these reports end up somewhere. And now these 16 organizations, instead of calling on the Human Rights Commission or the Human Rights Council to set up to set up an investigation, because they are a human rights organization in the world, the first, that is the Human Rights Council in Geneva, it can also conduct investigation on human rights abuses around the world. They have done it before. They are doing it right now in Ukraine. Did anybody ever ask Russia that is committing the atrocities in Ukraine to investigate itself? These human rights organizations are spreading a very fine line. They don't risk losing their funding, and they are also sending a message to the world that these atrocities have been committed by the army of La République du Cameroon. And you know that France has a lot to do with that Human Rights Council, because they are a permanent member of that Human Rights Council. Now, the human rights organizations have issued a report asking Mr. Bia to investigate. I'd like to inform the world and everybody, including the Human Rights Council, that La République du Cameroon has no courts. The courts they have are answerable to Mr. Bia. Mr. Bia has transformed the military court in Cameroon to try his political enemies, to try people that he has captured on the war front in Ambazonia. I am talking from personal experience, because I led the legal team to defend the leaders that were arrested and deported illegally in violation of an international convention on the protection of refugees and asylum seekers. They deported them. Nigeria deported them to Cameroon, and that the Human Rights Council has a report that was written by my legal team. Nobody has ever acted on it. These people were deported and they were tried in Yaoundé, where I was their lead counsel, and they were sentenced to life. That file is in the Human Rights Council. France being a member of the Human Rights Council, Cameroon being a member of the Human Rights Council, they have blocked it. Number two case, the International Criminal Court received a criminal complaint from us, the lawyers of Ambazonia, from here. We filed a criminal complaint against those perpetrating human rights in the southern Cameroon, particularly genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and so on, you name them. We filed that complaint on the 2nd of December 2020. Till today, every time we call to find out the status of the case, they are telling us, oh, we are looking for funding to carry out our investigation. Well, these human rights organizations have done what they are supposed to do. They don't even have a right to force Cameroon to do any investigation. And even the human rights, even the Cameroon has been emboldened by the weakness of the United Nations institutions. The Human Rights Council in Geneva is a United Nations agency, and they are handicapped by the way the United Nations functions. If it's not coming from the Western world or from the East, the two groups that control the United Nations, they will do nothing. Cameroon's human rights record was exposed 2 days ago. That was, I think, the 14th. That hearing took place 2 days on the 14th of November 2023. And the Amnesty International with other human rights organizations have done their work and have concluded that Cameroon should investigate the crisis that, the human rights abuses that have been carried out by their army in the southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. I cannot sit here and blame human rights organizations. They have done their work. But who is to force Cameroon to do anything? Nobody. First of all, Cameroon is a member of the club in Geneva, put there by France. France is an important member. He pulls the shots. Cameroon is a proxy. Our brothers of La République de Cameroon are killing us because France asked them to do so, in order that they can take all the resources that we have. That's what is happening. But nobody can force Cameroon. As long as France is there, nobody can force Cameroon to do anything. Therefore, there will be no investigation. When Gabon happened, human rights organizations accused the Cameroon army. The Cameroon refused until they finally accepted that they are the ones who did it. Since then, look at the number of genocides that have taken place in Ambazonia. The most recent one in Mante. What has happened? Nothing. So these human rights organizations, they have done their work. The onus is on the international organizations of the United Nations, the agencies of the United Nations, to do their own part of work, especially the International Criminal Court, which has a complaint already. For the last four years, there's a complaint sitting there in the International Criminal Court. No action. So Cameroon has been emboldened. They will continue to do what they do, kill our people, burn our villages, kill and burn, rape our girls, rape our children, kill them and burn some to ashes, nobody is coming to our aid. That's my take.
Okay. SOS Zama, before I get back to you, I want Isha Storm to make a contribution in that regard.
Excuse me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Yes. I, I, I want to know what do you think would be the answer, sir? You have just brought so much clarity in what the problem is, and um, what do you want? What would be the answer, in your opinion? What would start this to going back in the other direction?
Okay, but Pastor Fu, that question is to you based on your analysis.
Yes.
Take note.
Let me answer. The first thing is that yes. The first thing is that if the Human Rights Council in Geneva is serious, they should send a fact-finding mission to Ambazonia. Let them investigate all the crimes that the all these human rights organizations are talking about, and come out with a report and place that report in the International Criminal Court. Number two, the International Criminal Court should also act on the criminal complaint that we filed on behalf of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia in that court. They accepted that complaint, but they have done nothing for 4 years.
Okay.
So those are the only two.
Yeah,
if they can proceed with that file, and also the Human Rights Council in Geneva can also send a human rights fact-finding mission to Cameroon and Ambazonia, maybe we'll be getting somewhere. You are asking a criminal to investigate itself.
Right.
That's not correct.
Talking about fact-finding mission for at least 2 years. What's stopping that from happening? Because that's where the problem is. Why is there no fact-finding mission?
France is stopping it from happening. France is a veto member of the Security Council, a permanent and veto member of the Security Council. They are the ones blocking anything from happening, any kind of investigation from happening, and I'm sure the file in the ICC is being blocked also by France. That is the answer.
Drawing all the way down to the question, how do you get France out of the way? How do you? What's your answer? How do you stop?
Only America can call its allies to order and say, please, let's have the true picture. Let's have the true picture of what is happening in this war. That's the only way I see it.
SOS Zama, from a military perspective, what do you think we can do to prick the conscience or to get the international community to give us some more respect? Because I think that we are just being taken for granted in spite of what's happening.
Question?
Yes, SOS Zama, please.
I think we are blaming the burgerman France all the time. The onus is on us Africans to decide what we want to have as an Africa. We will have to die for that Africa. We are dying, but we must be able to comply with what all norms are. The French have been beaten in so many places before. They've been beaten in Haiti. They were beaten in 1804 in Haiti. The almighty Napoleon was beaten by a ragtag of soldiers from Haiti. They were beaten in Laos. They were beaten in Vietnam, in Cambodia, in Algeria. What's stopping us from doing that?
They have just been beaten in West Africa now. They've been beaten in Guinea. and in
They are
Niger.
doing that. I'm saying that until our people want to stand on the firing line for their progenies to live a better life, we will not. If we still have this selfish idea that we must benefit from everything we sow, we are not going to go and we are not going to make any headway. We must be able to, and we must be able to contribute. We must be able to do what we must do, because even looking
No,
into
no, no,
diaspora,
no,
diaspora is not
no, no, no,
performing.
no.
It's actually boxing below its weight level. There are many people who don't even consider Ambazonia, and they don't think Ambazonia is their home. They think Cameroon is their home, in which they are all excluded. It's just like you have your swimming pool and somebody comes in there and swims in the swimming pool and expels you from the swimming pool. That's what is going on in Ambazonia. And we cannot keep blaming people about what is not. What are we doing? Are we doing the maximum we can do as a people? If we are not doing that, then we have to shut up. We are crying a lot. We are only crying. We have to be able to put manpower and do what we must do.
And
the,
what
the,
is the
the
maximum
Americans have
that
been beaten everywhere. In where there's the
Now,
willpower,
Stone would like
you
to
cannot
know,
you cannot
SOS
yes.
Zama, Stone would like to know what is that maximum from your perspective?
What's the maximum from my perspective is all hands involvement. We have people who are in this American government. We have Ambazonians in the American government. They could put pressure on them. We've tried a lot of times to go talk to these people. They've done their best. But I'm saying that we do not have enough of the firepower that we need. And all that they say, Bismarck has said, blood and iron. You need them. We need the blood. We are sacrificing our blood with sticks that do not mean anything. We need actual weapons to fight the enemy. To fight an enemy, you have to be able to match them toe to toe and weapon by weapon to see that we are beating the Cameroonian tactically, but the Cameroon army tactically, but we do not have that manpower. We do not have the multiplicative effect of people and manpower. Even though we do not need the whole country to fight, but we have to have the whole country's mindset for war. There are some people who they kill these people in a neighborhood because they thought they were living their life. Yeah, life still has to continue even though people are dying. Yes, but they have to still keep behind their head that we are at war and always have to be on war footing. You cannot relent until the war is declared peace.
so when you're saying war, are you saying pick up the weapons for war, or are you saying fight behind the scenes to abolish war? What are you saying that they need to come on the front line for war?
Sadly, humans have developed the most advances in science and in human development, how to kill humans faster and faster. And it's sad. So we've tried. There's no diplomacy. Every time there's a war, we would have learned that, okay, we have to resolve these issues before it breaks down to war. But that's not how humans have learned. Humans have refused to learn those lessons. If you see, there was 100-year war. There were the War of the Roses. They've been war all over Europe. They've been war all over Africa. We haven't learned. A place like Ethiopia, you would have thought Ethiopia would not be pulling themselves into a war that they don't have to. But they are fighting a war because they cannot come to a common understanding. It's the same thing in Cameroon. The Cameroon army thought they were going to eliminate Anglophones in 2 weeks or in 2 days, as they said. But it's easier to start a war, but once you hit a quagmire, you stay in that quagmire. And we are not going anywhere. Our children are not going anywhere. We have children who are being born in the bushes now and will fight this fight. The Israelis and the Palestinians have been fighting a war for over 75 years, and they still have some time more to go until people come to their senses. Sometimes it takes that long for people to come to their senses. I'm not saying that I wish it to be that way, but our people have to understand that for them to be able to benefit from there. When I came here in the United States earlier on in the 80s, there were areas in the Detroit area that we could not go. There were areas after 8 Mile, you don't wait till 6 o'clock. Basically, black people were not allowed to stay to go after that. I could not take classes in the university I was attending after 6 o'clock. So people have fought, people have sacrificed, and we have to learn to sacrifice for other people. I'm benefiting from sacrifices that other people did in this country. I'm benefiting from people who died for me to sit and talk where I'm talking. So we cannot sit and expect to benefit from other things that not contribute.
I'm enjoying both sides of the conversation, and I think we all agreeing on one thing, that more still has to be done. Barrister Fru believes that our partners or supposed partners or those we're seeking to be partners should do more. And SOS Zama thinks that Ambazonians themselves would have to do even better than they're doing today. And this drives us closer to one of the peak discussions of this evening. Barrister Fru, I don't know if you want to make a comment, very brief comment, so that
Yes,
we
yes,
yeah, go ahead, please.
yes. Yeah, listen. I take exceptions to the fact that we cannot blame France in what is happening in the Human Rights Council. I take exception to the fact that we cannot blame France for the attitude of our brothers. Don't forget, La République du Cameroon are Africans. They are also Africans like Ambazonians. They have been teleguided since from independence by France. What is happening to the Southern Cameroon, the abuses, the human rights abuses that we're talking about, issued by the Amnesty International, happened in the 60s. When Bamileke people their homes were burnt to ashes, all of them were killed, and their heads paraded on the road for everybody to see. That was France. It was the French military. And I'm saying that if you can sit on the national television and say we should stop blaming, taking France for a Buddha man, I take exception to that. We have been struggling on our own. We have struggled in a diaspora to raise money for this struggle, to raise money for the firepower, and which you are performing. And if you are blaming Ambazonians, you have to tell me whether there's any country in the world that has ever fought a liberation war without any help from anybody. We have done the most that any people can do. What else can we do with your guns to stop Cameroon from violating human rights during war? There are rules of engagement at war. There are the international law regulating war crimes, and you are telling me that we can only fight, we can only finance the war and fight and remove people. Let them, and in the meantime, they are killing our people in violation of the rules of engagement of war. I don't understand it. If France was not like the Cameroon, what is happening to us will not be happening.
Let me moderate something a little bit, Barrister, from where you arrange your device. This is something from one side of it, Barrister Fru believes that Ambazonians have done their maximum, if I quote him rightly, and on the other side, SOS Zama, you're thinking that Ambazonians can do better, and I think you're both correct, especially if we want to analyze it from different perspectives. You're both correct. But when we are looking at the black on black colonialism, Barrister Fru, that has to do with even Cameroonians, like French Cameroonians, not realizing or not accepting that they are being used against those that are supposed to be their brothers. Sylvester Zama believes that we need, as a people, to rise up and do even better. And I want to use this to link me to the next discussion. The next discussion is the Ambazonian diaspora, which happens to be a double-edged sword. As the Ambazonian diaspora, since the start of this war, you know, a double-edged sword can cut from two angles and cut perfectly well. Since the start of this war, has this diaspora, and this is where we're going to need Asia Storm's input a lot, has this diaspora been a blessing or a curse? I would think that the diaspora has been a blessing, a huge blessing, because without the diaspora, it is clear that Cameroon would have shut the entire war up and bomb and destroy our people. Without the diaspora, an economically wrecked people like our people would have died of starvation. In fact, since our resources, research has it, even before the war began in 2016, research has it that in Bamenda, close to 70% of the income, because Bamenda was the fastest growing economy within the Cameroons between 2013 and 2015. And investigations were made, accusations were levied on scammers, but they realized that a huge portion of income within Ambazonia is foreign repatriation from families. Almost every family in Ambazonia, in Bamenda, has a relation abroad that sends money. That's how our
Correct.
people have been able to survive for decades. That is, the war just came and brought it on the limelight. Now, my concern is when we sit and have people in the diaspora that are being used to organize CDN 1, CDN 2, CDN 3, that Cameroon is using to talk about a referendum or a federation that is in contravention of our collective aspiration and interest. When we have people sit in Norway and give instructions for our people to be beheaded, when we have people who sit in Norway and ask boys who are vulnerable, depending on them for counsel, to shoot their own brothers point blank in front of cameras before their wives and children, then you see Cameroon and their proxies, those who do not have any interest in us as a people being free, now using that as an opportunity to insinuate that the diaspora could be a curse. This is a necessary debate. My question is, looking at the grand scheme of it all, is the diaspora a blessing or a curse vis-a-vis the ongoing war? I will start with you, SOS Zama, and then Asia Storm would definitely advise our diaspora and our people at the home front in this regard. But let me take it with you first, SOS Zama.
I am so sorry that I can't expound on it enough because I don't know enough about it. I don't know the positioning. I don't know um, what effect it's already having. I just don't know enough. I need to listen in this one more than I need to speak. I My reason for being here is if there is anything I can do to save one life, to stop this from happening, I just want to be here so I can figure out what that is. I do want to say that I think the problem has been identified here today. And I think when you get all the way on top of the problem, and like you're saying that France is the cause, then what moves France? Or if you're saying on the other end that the people need to come up on the battle lines with the guns, then what is that? Do they need to have the guns in one hand and the plan in the other? I mean, what the problem seems to be, you know, brought forward in this big booming way, and the solution seems to be vague. They're not really addressed. So I don't
Correct.
know enough about Diaspora. Yeah.
Yeah. So SOS Zama, she has enhanced the question in a very dynamic way. I think you should just put the answers straight so that we get it.
The diaspora has been very instrumental, and the diaspora from Ambazonia, like the diaspora in every even in biblical times, the diaspora has been very influential in safeguarding the lives of Ambazonians and those of other Cameroonians. When we talk about the diaspora, I want people to not only believe that the diaspora are those people who are living in America or in Britain. The diaspora is if you are living out of your hometown, you are living in Bafoussam when your hometown is Bamenda, you are a diaspora. And I want people, everybody, that number, if you look at it in that context, that number in terms of diaspora or their influence that can bring to bear on this war is enormous. It's not a curse, but as I've said, we are not walking in lockstep. We are not walking in lockstep like the people in Oketunja who said, okay, this is what we're going to do for our people, and they stand on the line. The people in Bui stand on the line. We have cracks in those lines. And that's why I'm saying that we should go in lockstep. When I say we are not doing enough, it's those little things. If our elites who are betraying us are completely taken out of the system, because they are the very ones who come and get these kids killed. They are the very ones who lure the soldiers into their palace. Unfortunately, Nijom Frun, he died, and he fought for liberty in Cameroon. But when he died, he imprisoned his people in Baba there. The soldiers are sitting in his own house and they rape people, they vandalize people, they commit arson. So those things happen. But we have to understand that even in any war, there will be atrocities. There always are atrocities. There are always rogue elements. If you see, like the war in Angola, Savimbi was not fighting for the total liberation of their own people. You see the war in South Africa. Buthelezi was not. In Nicaragua, Ortega was not. But we have to understand that despite all these limitations, we still have to be in lockstep. We have to run in one lockstep with all our people. And all our people, there are some people who are lagging. And sometimes in the animal kingdom, I see this thing all the time in the Serengeti. If you are an animal that has been wounded, they let you to be they let you to be picked up by the lions. And sometimes we have to let these people be picked up by the lions. We try to accommodate them just too much, and they are dragged to the system. They are holding us back, and they are holding on the system, and they are holding our effort. And so you cannot carry water in a leaky basket. And sometimes you either have to mend the basket or you throw it away.
This is so sweet. I like the way you have placed it. I don't know. There couldn't have been any better way for me to say what you have just said now, Sylvester Zama. But Mr. Flori, up to it, and that will help us to strike the nail on the head as we move on. Go ahead, please.
I've heard for the first time in my professional life, I've been a lawyer for more than 40 years. I've heard for the first time a unique justification for human rights violations, even during war, coming from a member of the military of Ambazonia. And that is unfortunate. Look, the role of the diaspora is so important. If the diaspora did not exist, we would not be talking today. Our people would have been wiped out. Me sitting here, I would not be alive. The diaspora consists of everybody living outside of his country, not his village. If you are living in Bafoussam and you are an Ambazonia, you are not in the diaspora according to the definition given by our SOS. You are not. The diaspora are those who live outside of their country. And until we have independence, until we have our sovereignty, rather, not independence, our sovereignty, we cannot pretend that people who live in Douala, Yaoundé, Bafoussam are living in the diaspora, so they should contribute to our well-being. No. The diaspora consists of all those who live abroad, beginning from our neighbors, Nigeria, Ghana, Europe, America, the Far East, South America, and so that is what is defined as the diaspora. and we have played a major role to ensure that La République du Cameroon, who are proxies to France, do not eliminate our people like they eliminated the Bamileke people. We have done that. We have done the maximum. Okay, like Paddy, like you said before this war, all La République du Cameroon was benefiting, its economy was benefiting from remittance from the diaspora. I want somebody to prove me wrong. Billions and billions of francs CFA, of course, being sent through the dollar, rejuvenated the economy of La République du Cameroon. Particularly in Bamenda, our people in Bamenda were beneficiaries of the diaspora remittance. That shows the importance of diaspora. Having said that, let me take the other side. Can I finish?
No,
I take the other side.
You're going to go on the other side. I was just confirming before you go to the other side. I wanted to say that most, just to confirm, most families in Bamenda for about a decade, for decades, have been solely dependent on foreign repatriation, either from Germany, from America, from wherever. In fact, families group themselves together, play jangis, and send somebody in the diaspora so that they could survive. So I cannot agree any less. And the good thing is that the both of you are agreeing with each other. You can now take the other side.
If you look at the other side, we have a lot of some people in the diaspora who are working for the enemy. And in doing so, they are committing heinous human rights commission in Ambazonia. Somebody will sit in Norway and ask for people to be executed in Ambazonia. Somebody will sit here in Minnesota and justify the execution of our people by our people, because they are being financed and delegated by the enemy. But that cannot negate, that should not be seen to negate the contribution of the diaspora to this struggle. A lot of us have been contributing for the war effort. And if we didn't do that, guess what would have happened to the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia? We would have been beaten to submission, all the houses burned like they did to Bamileke people. We would have not been where we are today. And I take issues with anybody who would not see the importance of what the diaspora has done for this struggle. The diaspora has been there from day one. The diaspora will continue to be there till our people will be free, till Ambazonia will be free.
Now, Barrister Fru, the question I'd like to ask both of you, and so that you can react very quickly before we get the advice on this particular subject, which I say the last advice from Asia Storm. Before the both of you, I want to ask the both of you, what more, in very specific terms, do you think the diaspora can do? Do you think that the diaspora need to revisit their strategy if they want to regain momentum and to increase firepower on the ground? Because we both agree that it is like an umbilical cord. But if there is more for the diaspora to do, what would you advise? Let me start.
I would advise.
Oh, SOS, I want to start with you.
Yes. I think Barrister Fro, we are all on the same page. We may just be looking at the coin on the edge. We are on this. We are the same coin.
We're not.
And I think for you to misrepresent the fact that I said there are atrocities that are done. Yes, but did I say that? I didn't say that those things are legitimate issues in a war. They are not. But I'm saying that we should not cancel the fact that those exist, and it exists in Ambazonia like in every war. We we as a population that a lot of us are in the diaspora, we understand these things. And yes, we can talk about it. Yes, we have hindrances in people who are trying to serve their interests against our own interest. The French are doing that. Yes, they are doing it because our people facilitate them. That's why I'm saying that in case we want to be able to surmount that, we have to work in lockstep. And only doing that, even as a whole, then can we surmount all those. Going back to the idea that the diaspora has been very, very instrumental. I have traveled the North America thousands and thousands of miles to raise funding for our people, to raise funding for medical and all the other support systems that we provide for our citizens. Yes, but on the other hand, we have to understand that we are not running on all 8 cylinders. We are not getting every Ambazonian who is able to and can afford to support the war should support the war. We are not only talking about the monetary means. We are talking about knowledge base. We are talking about we have people who are in software in very high places who understand how software and computing works. We are talking about people who are in militaries, who are retired military people who understand how these things work. Look at a country like Ukraine. Ukraine was fighting a war. You have Ukrainians, you have people who volunteer to go back to Ukraine. You give their know-how. The Jews are doing the same. You see the Israeli army, you have French people in there, Russian, Germans, Americans. So everybody should be able to contribute what they know how to contribute to defeat the enemy. We have a common enemy. Whether you are English, you are an Ambazonian, or you are a Francophone, we have a common enemy. And that common enemy may be France at this point. But our immediate and existential threat to us is the people of La Republique, and it's been facilitated by our own people. That's where we have to go back and look at this threat. We have to cut we have to get the weakest link out of our chain. Otherwise, we will still continue running on the same link and failing. Because our biggest threat are our internal black legs and people who are fighting. And I've said it over too many times. The people who are perpetrators, who are supporting the oppressor, never make it with the oppressor, nor do they go back to their own people or for the people they betrayed. It's always so hard, and we have to accept that, and we have to move. We have to work even harder. Given that you have a link that's always weak, and it's within the home. It's in the family, and it's tough to deal with that.
That is an amazing
Can I answer?
analogy. That's an amazing analogy, and this is what I observe. I think that you and Barrister Fru agree on this, because we've had discussion with Barrister Fru on this platform that he, like one of those which I would say you are talking about, SOS Zama, could be like like Tabetando in Manfe.
Yeah.
It's just one of those you are talking about.
Yes.
The enablers in Boya who are seeking for xenophobia could be what you're talking about. So you have our own people destroying our own people. And I want us to identify those who are in Bafusam, in Yaounda and Douala as diasporans, because they are not, if we have restored our nationhood, then they are definitely diasporans. Barrister Fru, please, a brief comment so that Asia Storm can conclude with our advice to the diasporan community and to the Ambazonian community, so that we can give her a link.
We need a lot of education of our people in the diaspora. Some of us are so embedded in our professional life that we don't listen, or we don't have time to know what is happening back home. And I want to make a statement. If you have read all the revolutions in the world, all revolutions always have black legs. They always have people to sabotage it who are from the same country. The case of Eritrea is not very far. The Palestinians, if Yasser Arafat did not kill Abdul Nasser, the Palestinians would never have had a homeland. There are two sides in any revolution, and those who are working for the enemy no matter what you do, as long as they are benefiting from the enemy, you will not be able to convince them. You can only work hard to ensure that your people are free, and those that were working against the enemy will answer one day. But you cannot stop working and stop and start blaming everybody for the problems of a few. In this country, in the United States, we have a lot of billionaires who are Ambazonians. None of them is putting money in this struggle.
Yeah.
You have professionals who are Ambazonians, they are not putting money in this struggle. They don't even believe in the struggle because they have become American citizens and they don't care. But that's not the point. The point is those of us who are in the diaspora, if we didn't do anything, if we were not active, would we have a homeland to go to?
Yeah. And
what
if we do not,
what we are saying, what we are
Zama is trying to say is the diaspora has got to keep the momentum and even do more or do better, which I think I agree to a great extent.
No, with that, everybody will agree to that. But you can only milk a cow and obtain the milk that is in the cow. I have said it, and I continue to say we have done very well. This year's draft has done a lot to increase firepower on the ground. And if anybody does not accept that, and you think that the diaspora is not doing enough, and I'm sorry, the diaspora, as far as I know, is working.
Diaspora.
Listen now.
You're watching Barrister Fru. Barrister Fru, I want us to shorten it a little bit. Barrister Fru has given the diaspora a very good pass mark. In French, how do they call that? Très bien.
Mention.
Very good.
No, I didn't say that. I have not said that. Don't put words into my mouth. I have said the diaspora has done a lot to save our people. They still have a lot to do.
Yeah.
I will not give them mention très bien. No. Whatever you call in your French mention très bien. All I'm saying is that in every revolution, you will always have black legs. You will always have traitors. You will always have those who are working for the enemy. We are not the first in the world to have a revolution. Eritrea had it. South Sudan had it. East Timor had it. The Palestinians had it, and they are still suffering. They are still dying till today. What I'm saying is that the momentum in the diaspora should only grow. But at this point, we have to give a pass mark to what the diaspora has done to keep our people alive and talking today.
And I cannot agree any less. There's a tiny part there that we might have not highlighted the way I would want it. Is the fact that the Yaoundé is currently afraid to do or to cause mayhem the way they would have loved to, because we have an enlightened diaspora. So we need to give kudos to diaspora, and especially those who are doing the little they can do. You need to wear your crowns now, because you are saving millions of lives and you're writing history in a very extraordinary way. Now, Asia Storm, you would have heard the argument, the discussion. If you want to advise Ambazonians at the home front and Ambazonians in the diaspora, this should be your conclusive statement. Thank you. You have spent a lot of time with us already. We did not anticipate it. If you want to advise, what would be your advice as we prosecute this war?
Okay. Thank you, Patty. Yes, I understand more. Thank you both for enlightening me on the diaspora. I think if I'm gathering it right, just because I'm out of the country, if I am a resident of that country, just because I left the country, I may have left on my own. I may have gone to college. I may have found my roots in that country and started living my life. Am I part of the diaspora? If I am a lethal individual who care about what's going on in my country as far as the murders are concerned, am I part of the diaspora? That's kind of what, before I answer my comment, I'd like that question answered.
Thank you for being a part of the diaspora. You can go ahead.
Huh?
Thank you
Yeah.
for taking that position.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying, if people who have left, if Ambazonians who have left the country on their own just to pursue their educations or whatever, not for the purpose of being a source for bringing freedom and sovereignty to Ambazonia, but they just left. Are they part of the diaspora? You
Yes,
know, they are,
they are
right?
part of.
No,
Anybody who is Ambazonian
Yeah,
who is out
no, no,
is part.
they are part of the diaspora. Anyone from
no,
Ambazonia
no,
that
no,
is
no,
alive
no, no, no.
for reason is
Paddy,
part of the diaspora.
can I attempt an answer?
Please, briefly, please.
Those who are here or in any part of the world for studies, you cannot classify them as part of the diaspora. The diaspora I'm talking about those who live here and work here, but who have their roots back there, who are interested in what happened to their families back there. That is the diaspora I'm talking about. If
Okay,
you
So it
if
this is
is
you
one
if you take
segment of the diaspora, but the diaspora simply means everybody living abroad
no,
from the
except
basic.
students, except
Now you are talking
students,
about
except
students now, which we can differentiate that if need be. But we're talking about everyone living abroad as a diaspora. Even students must not necessarily mobilize funds, but students can sensitize. When you have students who have chosen to be disinclined to their own historicity and legality, they are playing a very dangerous role in the diaspora because any census will not exclude them as a diaspora. Yes, Asia Storm, please go
okay.
right ahead, please.
Yes. All right then. Now I think I can intelligently and heartfelt give an answer to your original your question of asking me, do I believe the diaspora is a blessing or a curse? I believe the diaspora is a humongous blessing. I think that it can be used as a weapon that Ambazonia has because they are out of the country and they do have legal residence or positioning outside the country in the places that they are residing now. I believe that that means, my God, what weapons? That's a weaponry like none other. So to me, based on what I understand about the diaspora, even if the diaspora is everybody who left, regardless to whether they have, as he was just saying, they care about what's going on in their home, their country of origin, but so that doesn't make them not a part of the diaspora. So to me, no, even if that's true, even if they are not because of that, then still, I believe the diaspora is a humongous blessing because you can you can um, you can move that. You can move that. You can move it in incredible ways for all that we've talked about. It feels like that's the weaponry. So it gives me the opportunity with what you all have contributed to this conversation to answer that question.
Thank you very much for that. And the purpose we're having this conversation is to try to debunk the rhetoric from the colonial administration that the diaspora could somehow or somewhat be an enemy to the livelihood of those who are in Ambazonia. So we're calling on all those who are watching us at the home front. Listen, I've seen some guys doing a lot of things. I'm going to address that very formally one of these days. Cameroon, most recently, because of the influence of the diaspora, is trying to see if they can give some hope to Ambazonian youths. Strangely, they're now supporting Ambazonian artists more than they used to do. The other day in Boya, there was a CAMIF, Cameroon International Film Festival, organized in Boya. And the mastermind behind this is Agbo Gibbon. For those of you who are patrons or who are within ABC and we have been discussing some things, I pre-notified you on some things I'm not going to say on this platform yet. This should be a feedback for the diaspora to strategize. But I'm talking to those of you who are watching us at the home front. Do not be fooled to forget about the fact that you do not just need another film festival or another musician trying to sing in French to be recognized and be given an award, or maybe somebody making you to travel to Canada or wherever. You need a country you can call yours. This is all falsehood. They are doing this today because of the fight. Because like Asia Storm is saying, the diaspora is a very potent weapon, and Cameroon knows what the diaspora is capable of doing. That was the objective of this discussion. And I'm going to bring a part 2 of this discussion next week, where I will highlight specifically, like I just highlighted right now, CAMIF, Cameroon International Music Festival, that is currently being organized from the Prime Minister's office by those whom I see as enablers. And the objective of this festival being done in Boya, the capital city of Southern Cameroon. I know why. It's a calculated attempt to ensure normalization or normalcy, and also to ignore our plight. And our youth are being fooled. That's why the youths cannot be excluded when it comes to taking responsibility. You can't. After 18, you cannot be excluded. Think of when Agbobala and Tassan was on the run. Agbobala and Fontem Liba were arrested. It took students. These guys were just in their mid-20s. I'm talking about Tapang Ivor, was not up to 30, was not even up to 28 years in 2016. When he stood Cameroon, it's true today, he is acting funny, but you have to recognize how a young man was audaciously confronting a criminal regime as a student. He was a student in the diaspora, and he mobilized students, and the momentum was exceptional. That alone tells you the potentiality of the youth in the diaspora. I'm talking to all the youths in the diaspora who are lukewarm, especially when you make the stupid statement that one thing. It's a mistake. It's an apology for you to be disinclined during this time of war. Thank you very much, Esha Storm, for opting to be with us. I will give you your leave right now. Safru, you want to say something very briefly? You can give it so that we can get into.
No, I want to make only one statement, one short statement before she leaves.
Yeah.
Even those who are not supporting the struggle, who are in the diaspora, are supporting the struggle indirectly. Because I don't know of anybody living here who does not send money back to his father or mother or brother or sister in Bamenda or in Boya, in Manthe, or in other places. That's what we should recognize as the importance of the Biafra, of the diaspora. Number two, the young people here, one of the things that we should be working on is to get the young people who are arriving in the United States, who are making money now, or who are working and can live, to help free their brothers in the homeland. That is something that we in the diaspora and in this struggle should attempt to do so that we can generate more to help our people. But in the meantime, we should not forget, like she says, the diaspora is a blessing to our people back home.
Amazing.
And like I also said, if the diaspora was not there, our people would have been annihilated like the Bamileke people were annihilated. Today, they are nothing in La Republic of Cameroon because of what happened in the 60s. And
Thank you very much.
To conclude, I will say that anybody who thinks that France has little to do with what is happening to us should go and have his head examined. Thank you very much.
I don't think anybody thinks that way. I just think that we should take responsibility, like the Niger, like and stop over giving too much hype to France, because it's high time we beat France strategically. We make France to look like a demigod. It becomes very difficult for us to beat them out of our territory. We can win Cameroon and France, like Wiba said, together. And until we start taking responsibility and seeing that there is need for us to escalate our efforts, we may just be seeing the obstacle instead of seeing the solution. Thank you very much, Esha Stone, for bringing you into so much of Ambazonian politics.
God be the glory to this. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope to have you again next week when we will be having Professor Bridget Table to join us with the academic perspective of diaspora involvement. And this is why it is important. I already told you, Cameroon is using the youth particularly right now, and those who are enablers in the diaspora to sabotage our movement. And it is incumbent upon us who are able to see this to enhance it by giving these educational programs that will help us all. Now we're getting to this very important discussion. Ambazonians definitely have been waiting for it so much. I would say it's important. Nothing could be much more important than this at this time. The things fall apart in the Southern Fondom. The runaway, fund so his throne is currently under threat, and it is an interesting discussion, which I would like to give a little bit of a perspective. Maybe there are some who would like to even see who this man is. Maybe you want to see his face. Maybe I should bring him on the screen so that you look at him. This is Fon Nsem Mbinglo so. We are very much aware of when the Amazonian Restoration Forces apprehended him, and respectfully, he looked into their eyes and denied them. And reports have it that his throne may be under threat. It is evident that the potential dethronement, if I should say so, of the Fon has the power to spark a revolution that could redefine traditional perspectives, belief systems, cultures, and allegiances within the nation of Ambazonia. The ongoing war has shed light on the true nature of leaders who claim to be dedicated to their people and their homeland. We've seen everything. Unfortunately, this conflict has also exposed the avarice of certain individuals, revealing their true intentions and priorities. As a result, the people have gained a profound understanding. You would see, especially with them apprehending the late Frundi and others. So the people have gained a profound understanding of the character and integrity of their leaders. They cannot be deceived by anyone. Regrettably, the spirit of greed and self-interest has driven some individuals to flee and seek refuge in neighboring La République to Cameroon that they should be fleeing from, which literally means they're partnering with them. Among these individuals are some traditional rulers, including the paramount Fon Omso. His Royal Majesty Mfon Nsem Mbinglo of Nso, Fon Angwafo of Mankon, who is deceased, and now his son Ndefru, and numerous other Fons and chiefs throughout Ambazonia, from what you call the northern zone into the southern zone, have chosen to prioritize political alliances over their responsibilities as custodians of their traditions. We have seen chiefs becoming senators in Yaoundé, fighting against their people. Instead of embracing their roles as the cultural guardians of their people, these Fons and chiefs, including the Fon Omso, have aligned themselves with the colonial government of La République and remain loyal to the ruling party with La République, that is the Cameroon's People Democratic Party of BIA. Some of them are candidates. Some of them are used as subjects or weapons against their people. This decision is viewed as a betrayal to the Ambazonian liberation movement. As a result, a rift has formed between the Fon Omso and his subjects. That's just a case study. The people of Omso, rather than standing united with his people during this time of need, the Fon has chosen to adhere to political interests that do not align with the aspirations and values of the Omso community. I want you to think about that. This betrayal has left the Fon vulnerable to threats and has jeopardized the stability, the unity, the integrity of the great historic Nsom Fondom. What a shame. It is imperative for leaders to prioritize the well-being and the best interests of their people above any political affiliations, which is not the case we see in the Mankon Fondom and the Nsom Fondom. The Fondom has learned a harsh lesson anyway, as his actions have led to his people turning against him. The unity and strength of a community rely on the integrity and the leadership displayed by its traditional rulers, especially in Africa. The troubling situation in some Fondom serves as a stark reminder that when leaders prioritize personal gain over the interests of their people, it inevitably leads to division and turmoil. We have seen that already in Bansop. I'm going to get into the reports very soon. But before I even do that, the ongoing war in Ambazonia has emphasized the importance of leaders who prioritize their people above politics, as failure to do so can have serious consequences for both the leader and their community. We have seen how our own restoration forces in Mezam have been killed from intelligence by a so-called leader called the Fon. The story of Fon Sembinglo and the Nso'om Fondom is a tale of a great tragedy and the possible erosion of a valued cultural tradition. The Fon, who was regarded as a leader and a protector of the Nso'om people, was forced to abdicate the throne due to the overwhelming weight of his conscience. Unable to bear witness to the suffering of his people under the hands of their enemies, he sought refuge in the capital city of French Cameroon, Yaoundé, a foreign land that was controlled, or that is being controlled, by the Bulubeti clan of Biya, the very perpetrators of the genocide against his own people. This decision has been seen and is being seen by many as a betrayal of his role and a violation of the taboos that Nso people hold dear. You would agree with me that Nso has one of the strongest traditions and cultures in Ambazonia. Mfon Nsem Mbinglo's extended stay in Yaoundé, where he has been running the affairs of Nso from afar, has sparked widespread speculation and raised numerous eyebrows. It is seen as an unprecedented move, as traditionally, the fund is expected to reside within the Nso'om Fondom and actively participate in the governance and protection of his people. Therefore, the question arises, does the fund's refusal to return home indicate a lack of interest in reclaiming the throne? Because, like Barrister Fu was saying earlier on, we saw a fund who was invited by the restoration forces, or is he not sure of his protection? The importance of the Nso'om throne cannot be understated. It represents the heart and the soul of the people of Nso, their traditions and their cultural heritage. With the throne technically vacant, a notable figure by the name Nshufa Nsela from Kilaiki village has taken it upon himself to occupy the position. This is an unprecedented event in the history of the Nso'om people and serves as a testament to the resilience and determination of the community in the face of adversity. Nobody saw this coming. In times of crisis and hardship, the Nso people have always relied on the strength and guardians of their fund. However, the absence of Fon Nsembinglo and his reluctance to return home have left the community questioning his commitment to the throne. The Fon's refusal to accept the olive branch extended to him by the Ambazonian restoration forces during the recent Independence Day celebrations further deepens this uncertainty. If you are loyal to your people, you cannot be afraid to return and to have a conversation. Who are you serving, the people or the colonial master? The consequences of these events have undoubtedly caused division and unrest within the Nso'om community. The glaring absence of their traditional leader and the emergence of a new figure or a supposed new figure to take his place is indicative of the shifting dynamics and the ever-changing nature of the society, or what can possibly happen all across Ambazonia. Reports have emerged that Shufai Nsela, a resident of Kikai Kilaki village, not far away from Kumbu Center town, has declared himself Fon, causing great concern for the Nso Development Association. Shufai Nsela is said to have obtained the sacred masquerade or medicine of Nso land known as Nwerong Angiri, which is traditionally held and protected by the Fon Palace. The Nsoda views this, talking about the association, which has been politicized by Yaoundé, views this as a blatant act of disrespect towards the leadership of the land. However, the question arises as to whether this matter to those who perceive Fonsem's actions as a betrayer of customs and traditions. Does it even matter? And Fonsem Binglo's decision to claim the Nwero, which is considered supreme authority of the land, is seen as a sacrilege in tradition. According to the Nsoda, in a statement dated November 15, that's just about 2 days ago, the president of Soda, Sheikh Tadze Adamu Mbienzela, highlighted that during situation caused by the ongoing war in Ambazonia, which has resulted in recurrent attacks on the paramount fund and traditional institutions by some individuals on social media and public places, the fund would have to stay away, as though that's an excuse. While Soda strongly condemns Shufai's last attempt to seize the Nsot throne, there are also dissenting voices among the sons and daughters of Nsot. They are equally opposed to Fonsem Binglo's leading from outside the palace. So what is the solution? Maybe I should have the chairman of Bui to come and answer this question. But we're going to attempt it. According to reliable sources, these individuals desire a fund who will remain in the palace, not become a refugee. The division within the Son community, home and abroad, reflects the tension arising from Fonsem Binglo's actions, politicized actions, and the consequences they have had on the long-standing customs and traditions of the land. Where do we go from here as a people of Ambazonia? It remains to be seen how this power struggle will be resolved and whether a compromise can be reached that will restore harmony and unity among the members of the community. But as we speak, a secret is in the hands of someone who was not initially the fund. So ultimately, this story serves as a reminder that even the most revered traditions can be shaken in the face of great adversity. The fund's abdication and subsequent exile, self-exile, I would say, have left the Nsot people searching for answers and a new pathway. However, amidst the confusion and uncertainty, it is unclear that the Nsot people remain strong and resilient, unwilling to accept defeat, and always ready to face any challenge, to face the forces of occupation that comes their way. And above all, this story could ignite a revolution within traditional institutions in the entire nation of Ambazonia, which could be a part of the prayer I've been praying for so long. Now, gentlemen, I'd like us to look at this very critically because it is a sensitive issue. It could, if it goes the way it is going, with Shofar Nsenla opting to stay his ground, then we could have a landmark deviation of historical trends. Let me take it with you, Barrister Fu. I know you can't wait. You can't wait.
Yes. Thank you very much, Paddy. In the northern zone, there are 5 fundums that are so important. You have number 1, the Nsot fundum. Number 2, the Bafut fundum. Number 3, the Bali fundum. Number 4, the Mankon fundum. And number 5, the Com fundum. Out out of these 5, 2 have abdicated, the fund of So and the fund of Bali. You know, La Republic has corrupted our traditional institutions. But some of these funds have struck a balance between what they believe, between their support for the regime in place and the revolution that is taking place in their village, in their various fondoms. Listen, you mentioned before, the fund of Mancon was a big enabler, vice president of the CPDM, and he made no bones about that, and he struck a balance to stay in his palace, come rain, come sun. The fund of Bali was not brave enough because being a member of the Central Committee, he thought he was something, and he went against his people and ran away on his own to Yaoundé. He did not care to strike a balance between his fondom, his throne, which were meant to protect the Bali people, and his allegiance to the regime. So he fled and is living in Yaoundé. The fund of So that we're seeing on the screen has done the same thing. Lack of foresight, lack of courage, lack of the ability to strike a balance between the ruling of his fondom to protect the interests of his people. He took sides with the regime and ran to Yaoundé. And the two are afraid to come back to their palaces. Let's go to the son of the case in study, son of So. The tradition of the people of the northern zone is almost similar. As long as a fund is living, there cannot be a replacement. The only replacement can come only when Quifo, let me repeat myself, Quifo decides to take away the very evil fund whom Quifo has in their evaluation is no longer protecting the interests of the people, traditionally and otherwise. That has not happened to the fund of So. His own children, whom he refused to protect, whom he denounced, whom he ran away to go and meet the regime, have said, Pa, come back to the palace. And he refused to come. The only conclusion is that he has abdicated. And there are rules for abdication in all these fondoms. If you abdicate your fondom as the fund, the kingmakers of So are the only ones that will get into conclave and do and conclude whether you have abdicated or not, and then choose another fund from the lineage, from what the rules are. Is it a hereditary thing? Are you taking, can anybody in that fondom become a fund? No. But there are rules as it concerns other these fondoms. Now, the fund of So has abdicated because he was invited back to come and take his throne. To come, your children want you to come back and sit on the throne. And since then, he abdicated. He refused to come back. How did this man from Kekilaki get hold of the traditional whatever to become a problem for the people?
Very fundamental question. How did he?
How did he? But having said that, there are also rules for anybody who touches something that he is not supposed to touch. So the Saw people will solve this problem. I am confident that they will solve it and they will have a new fund. It may not be the guy who has stolen the secret stuff, but the people of Saw, the kingmakers of Saw, will decide and put whoever is supposed to replace Binglo, because in the fandom there is a replacement hierarchy. When this fund is no longer there, this is what is going to happen. The people of Saw will sort that out. There's not going to be a revolution. It's going to be a traditional arrangement. And this guy from Kekilaki, I don't know where he came from, how he got hold of the secret stuff.
Yeah,
that is a story for another day. Yes.
We've grown up. We've grown up to think that the funds are untouchable, and it is this mentality that has made them to be very arrogant vis-a-vis the
no, Paddy. No, Paddy, hold on. The notion of the fund in the northern zone may be different from the funds from the southern zone. Yeah. Don't mix things up. Our people are embedded. Our people. Listen to me now. Our people in the northern zone are embedded in tradition. There are traditions that regulate all these succession issues. It is clear that the fund of Saw has.
I'm talking about attitude. I'm talking about attitude. Even the chiefs in the are yeah.
Yes.
I'm saying that
attitude.
We have seen, especially the son of God has said that he is CPJ. He really doesn't care. You understand?
Yes.
I know what that Southern Cameroon. That means he has.
But if he said that, if he said that sitting on the throne of Saw, you know what would have happened? If he said that against the interest of the people of Saw, the Quifor of Saw will decide his fate.
Then Quifor.
Though I am one of those. I am one of those who's attached to tradition, and I believe that the people of Saw will sort this out.
Quifors are a council of these corrupt CPDM officials. Now, SOS, please react. I have something to say about this, but I'd like you to react, please.
Well, Barrister Fru is immersed in the traditions of the Northern Zone. What he's saying is quite correct. But I want to remind him that before most of the fundoms in the Northern Zone came into existence, it was not a birthright, a bloodline kingship. It was attributed to your chivalry. It was attributed to your ability to fight in a war front. When I think Fomukong, the font of Mankon, was before him, his father or the king before that was a warrior. It was not out of bloodline. Bloodlines have existed later on. Fon Binglo have literally abandoned his people. He has no disregard. He has no regard for his people. I shouldn't see why we should have a vacant fandom. With all, given the importance of the Bansa fandom, and given the fact that Bui is at war, he should be the person. What do you call it, Samukong, or what do you call it in Mankon? He should be the spear, the tip of the spear, leading his people in the charge of this war, if there is. But he's decided to abandon his people, even after he was requested to come back home under the safe protection of the ARFs. He refused. He decided to go back and sleep with the enemy. There's not much you can do for it. He's decided to leave. He abandoned his family. Of course, there should be a replacement. I think 7 years is a long time enough In no kingdom does the king is allowed to abdicate his throne for more than a year and stays without a replacement. I think the people of Nsok should have done so sooner than it is, because they need a whole lot of guidance. They need a whole lot of guidance leading their people at war. And there's a lot of massacre that's been going on, and sometimes it's been perpetrated through with efforts or encouragement from the Binglo, from what we find out. But he's the only one who can say, no, I didn't do that. He has to defend himself. But by running away, it tells his culpability. Because if you are not guilty of something, you don't run away. And he's run away, he's abdicated. I think the Banso people, like Barrister So said, they will look for a way to establish it. But if they can't establish it, I think the people should vote somebody else. He doesn't need to have a lineage or a blood relationship. A leader of a community should be anybody, especially in a time of war, especially in a time that the king or the fawn has abdicated. It's a vacant throne. If a bird leaves its nest unguarded, unmaintained, something else will go in there. And that's what the people of Nsok will have if they don't do something about it. We cannot be having our kids killed every day, and the fawn is eating with the enemy. I don't see, if my father was one of those, I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. But I think we must do something and encourage the Nsok people to do something quick, because it's way too long.
Actually, traditionalists in Ambazonia, I'm coming to you. I'm just trying to see what is happening with our system here. Traditionalists in Ambazonia are those who really argue. They always argue that the funds and their fundum should be untouchable. And this is the question I wanted to ask. Must we not touch this? Must we not touch this? Must this structure be the way it is? What is the value of a structure that does not save a generation? Because the fund or the fundum the way it is was a vision of maybe our forebears. In our generation, these chiefdoms and fundums, must we allow them to remain the way they are, giving power to people who intend disregard the communities? Let's just deviate a little bit and talk about what is happening in the Southwest. At least 60% of all Southwest chiefs are CPDM appointed indirect appointees. They have their auxiliaries serving Yaoundé. At this time, when all of these old men are aware that our territory has been occupied, and then we give them a kind of power that is working against us, I have serious concerns about that, and I'm very unapologetic about it. Must these fundums, not just the funds being replaced now, must these structures remain the way they are?
Let's answer the question. Allow us to answer the question. Now, I said that the fundum so has abdicated. That simply as that. I was talking about the choosing of a new fund. It's a tradition in the northern zone. The choosing, somebody cannot just go and steal the secret stuff and claiming to be fund when he has not been chosen by the secret society in Nsok. That is what I said. Coming back, Paddy, there's a huge difference between chiefs from the southern zone and I mean funds from the you call them chiefs or funds, whatever, in the southern zone and the northern zone. The southern zone were the first to see the white man. They were influenced by the white people. Let me finish now. Let me finish. Listen to my reasoning.
Okay.
They were influenced by the white man more than the people of the northern zone. The people of the northern zone resisted the white man and instituted their tradition as far as chieftaincy is concerned. Now, the liberal thing that happened in the southern zone has affected the fundum of the southern zone, and therefore they are easily manipulated by those in power. If I tell you, I can sit here and tell you that there is nobody in the regime that can manipulate the fund of Bafut. There's nobody in the regime that can manipulate the fund of Com as we speak. He is not interested. All he's interested is the welfare of his people. The people are at war. He has to stand with them. That is what happened in Bafut. Even though Bafut has become what it has become today, it is not the making of the fund. The fund has been consistent. So our traditions are not the problem. It's the influence of the outsiders, the regime, that tries to make our people, our funds, part of the administration. They call them les auxiliaires de l'administration. And in doing that, they have planted an evil seed in the fundums of both the northern zone and the southern zone. Depending upon the class in which the regime puts you, you get a stipend month. And if you become stubborn, you will not get that stipend. But it is not this. It's not that in Baso. Baso is the richest fundum that I know of, and they take care of their fund. With or without the administration, they take care of their fund. Same thing goes for Bali. Same thing goes for Mancon. Same thing goes for Bafut, and same thing goes for Com. So what is happening is, if the funds of the Northwest were confronted between the administration and the war, and some of them survived to live in their palaces because they tried to play a balance between the two. That's the case of Mancon. That's the case of that's the only case of Mancon. But the fund of Seoul ran away. The fund of Bali ran away without even attempting to strike a balance as to what is Caesar and as to what is his people.
But we have seen how the colonizers are taking advantage of our traditional institutions, which is where you're going to react again. But I would like Sylvester Zamar to come here. I did some anthropology, and tradition and customs or cultures could be synonymous when it comes to description. Now, it is simply a handing down of beliefs or a way of life from generation to generation. Now, the culture of a people or cultures of a people revolve around this same explanation. And what's the purpose of systems? The human being from creation, as the humans evolve and adapt based on their environment. As we are evolving as a people, looking at the consequences or the feedback we're getting from the institutions we have. My question is a very simple question, and I have a reason for giving this explanation before asking this question. Must these institutions remain the way they are, especially in our generation? Because as far as I'm concerned, if I have to talk to my generation, I do not think we should translate these cultures and traditions the way they are to our next generation. That's my question. SOS Ama, please.
I think with every tradition changes with time. The fundum of Mancon has not stayed the same like it was in the 1780s. It's changed. Times change, mentalities change. If you look at what's going on all over the world, look at the English kingdom. The king is at least going down and explaining to people what he's doing. Before, that was not the case. before the wife, the mother, Queen Elizabeth, did not explain herself to nobody. She did what she had to do. She supported what she had to support. So things change. People evolve. People's mentality evolve. Better ways are developed to govern people. There are benevolent people, kings, and the malicious ones like Binglo, so. But things will change. There's no kingdom that's been static. It will change, and it's changing because Minglo has been stripped naked. He's a naked king. What do you do with a naked king? It's worthless at this point.
Nothing.
With the Bansa people,
Worthless.
I think to be able to see through the veil and decide that we've had enough of this humiliation, and get somebody who can hold the name, withhold that title of a king or the Fonam. So the Fonam So was tantamount to being the president of that region. Ahijo did not invite the son of So. Ahijo was invited. The son went to the Fonam So's palace. Those funds did not move. The palace did not move. You come to the palace. But Paul Biya came in with his own style of doing things, and we had some stooges who fell with he mesmerized them with this Trusele man, say, Bamenda is my home. And that was the only English I've ever heard him speak. So we have to understand that these things change. And it's changing because all those funds who've run away, their citizens have developed a new callousness for them. Their citizens have developed a new disrespect for them. And there will be a ridicule. So what do you have to do with him? He's gonna be like a masquerade dancing to music unknown to him. He will not come back. He can't come back. I doubt if he came back and they will not serve him cold tea. And so I wonder the people who are in the palaces are no slackers. They work some good work and some bad work, and they can do a lot of stuff. I don't think this man has humiliated them enough for them to accept.
That's what I call people. That's what I call people, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So we should not. These things will change, Paddy. The thing is that we are seeing things in real time. We are seeing things in real time, and a second is a long time enough for things to change. But yes, they are changing because the attitude of the people of Mso, they are not regarding this particular fund with any respect like they regarded him before the revolution and before his flirtation with Yaoundé. He's decided to have a one-night stand, and he has become a permanent stand. So he's gone to Yaoundé. He's going to deal with it.
He's no longer the fund.
I'm very happy that we agree that there is need for change. And I have a reason for pushing this because I believe, like we used to be in Cameroon, and Biya was made to be like a demigod. You know, there are still people in Cameroon with that mindset that he's untouchable, nothing can happen. You know, the Francophones have been trained to think that Biya can come and call anybody apprenti sorcier and can do anything and nobody can do this. Now, understanding that things will definitely, by a natural process, will change. Our generation is not that generation. Let's face it. It's not that generation that waits for change. It's a generation that, if properly energized, influences change. That means when we see the need, we need to enhance the change. We have to quicken it. If we didn't do that, there would have been no restoration of our independence in 2016. Because our forebears, some of them believed in waiting, and we believed in acting. Looking at this now, do you think there should be a calculative move that must be enhanced by our generation to see that we restructure these traditional institutions from the secret societies to everything and put them in a strata that can help development in this fast emerging nation of Ambazonia? And that's a challenging question for both of you, especially if any one of you is carrying a title now. I've put you in a very tight corner and I want you to talk. Yes, but
listen, buddy. Buddy, it will change. Like SOS has said, it will change and it's changing, but it's going to be slow because we cannot overnight abandon the tradition. I just give you an example. The font of Mancon passed away, and the new font was installed following the tradition. You saw the ceremonies. You saw all what happened, where he was taken to, where all the traditional things that were installed on him. But there is a one thing that you cannot do as a font in Mancon. I'm talking about what I know. You do not stain your hand with blood. If you are the cause of somebody losing his life as a sitting font, the way tradition is done, you cannot go without paying for it. The new font, it did not even last long. He connived, and one Ambazonian restoration forces was killed by Cameroon soldiers in his palace, or the entrance into his palace. That is having blood in your hands. And if you have blood in your hands following the Mancon tradition, it's going to haunt you until Kuifo answers the question. I'm not going to, I'm a Christian, I don't get into all kinds of things that I don't understand, but he just lost his wife at childbirth. And in Mancon, when a death like that occurs, and in the palace, the secret people go and find out what is the problem. And they will not tell us, Mancon people, what happened. All I know as a Christian is that somebody died. And it's a normal thing to die. But if you look at the way the tradition is, did that person die as a result of some incident, as a result of something that you did not do, or you did that you were not supposed to do? It's a big question to be answered. And with that, I am saying that this tradition will change, but it will not change as fast as you think, Paddy. The tradition will be reformed by those who are coming to replace. Look, there are young people who are entering the condoms. There are young people who are entering the Kuifo houses. There are young people who are entering all these traditional institutions. They have no choice but to start working on change. For the case of so, if that man who found him, who took that staff, was not supposed to touch that staff, he will live to pay for it. And therefore, that's why I say the people of So will put a new fund in their own, following their tradition, and this matter will be solved. Because this other man, this guy in Yaoundé has abdicated. There is no question about that. Just like the fund of Bali has abdicated.
Do you really think that those who are still stick with traditions are interested to change these funds and
no, they will change, Paddy, and it's changing. I am supporting what SOS Zama said. The change is already there. People are changing.
SOS Zama, just to add to that, what Barrister Fro has said, and the fact that we may also take proactive and be more intentional in changing the status quo. He has mentioned that in Shumfai in Sela or Kikai Kilaki village could be faced with some problem for taking the Ngwerong. And the Ngwerong Angiri that is meant for the Mbe or the Fon Omso. And what baffles me about this is the Mfono saw himself as defied the secrecy of his palace. And somebody's taking it by violence, and we are saying that something will happen. I want you to. Yeah.
Did he take it by violence?
At this point, I still want to insist that prior to the established fondoms, the kings were not enthroned because of their birth, their bloodline.
Yeah.
They were
I
enthroned
agree.
according to their ability. So it was something that was created by men, and men could change when that need arises. They basically put those things because the wars had subsided, and they had to look at good medium between stability and continuity of those communities, and then it went to bloodline. Yes, we have these issues that have arisen with funds in our communities. Yes, there are younger people who are inheriting those fondoms, like the fund of Batibo, fund Royal Fund Mbak Rogers. He's there. He was a schoolmate of mine in CPC. He's a young person. In his 50s. Of course, he's not going to rule like his father did. He's going to be ruled by the age in which he lived. So these things are going to eventually evolve into our own times. It might not happen in the Abumbi time or Binglo or the fund of Okom. Yes, but as their inheritance, there are new funds that come in. They come in with new ideas. They come in with different things as to the involvement of their own people. These traditional systems are systems, and they are human systems. And human systems are going to change. They change with the evolution of people in terms of their understanding of their culture, their understanding of their worldview of that society and the world at large. So yes, it will change, and it's changing, because I can tell you, before nobody could talk about the fund in the open, but they are talking about the fund in Bigelow and other funds in the northern zone and in the southern zone, because they belittle themselves. They've exposed themselves in public. I quite remember when I was young, the fund of my village came to Bamenda, and nobody could see him eat. We all had to evacuate the house just for him to eat. And those were the kind of stuff they said, oh, you cannot see the chief, the fund open his mouth to eat. So when we're growing up, we thought like, oh, this dude doesn't eat. But that's not it. We have to understand that, yes, these things will change, and they are changing. And the funds are real human. Before, we used to think that they were not humans. They were superhumans. But yes, you can see the fund of Bafut go and meet his people. He's traveling around the world, meeting his people, talking to his people, encouraging his people, and carrying out development in his own village by encouraging his people to look back and contribute. The fundum of Bafut is getting a little bit over 20 or 25,000 tourists that are coming in there, and those people come in and they contribute to the economic development in that area. So it's not something that it's going to change with a minute's notice, but it's changing. It's changing.
One thing I have enjoyed in this conversation, that we're getting to a close. We've exceeded our time by over 25 minutes. Is the fact that those institutions were put there by man, and the men who sat and thought that was a party have long gone.
I disagree.
Today is our world.
I disagree. I disagree.
We have a legacy for us to keep. We have a future to create
those institutions. Those institutions were put by Kwifo. You were not put by man. So if you
this is really
I am saying that why we agree that it's going to change, it will take you a while to change Kwifo.
about it is that when you already now have Nkwifo, whose fund has taken bribe for Yaoundé, and the Nkwifo cannot face justice, that kind of Nkwifo can be eradicated. That's a fact. If Nkwifo choose to stay with integrity, the people will respect it. With gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to this very important program.
Yeah, Paddy,
Excuse
let
me.
me run. Let me run something by you. I want you to remember.
Yes,
I think
please.
it's the fund of small Babanki was literally burnt alive by women of that fund of that
Yes.
fundum. That's to
Yes.
show
It
you
was
that
buried.
when
It
when
was
when
buried
things,
alive.
yeah. So when things don't go like they should, the people know exactly what to do. So I
Yes.
don't think we should act as a catalyst or precipitate things that are already fermenting.
Motion.
They've already exposed themselves naked. They know them that they are naked chiefs and naked funds. We can't beat them even worse than they've beaten themselves. So the people are gonna deal with that, and I'm just trying to make our people to understand that we still have the pressure. Like I said before, we have to work in lockstep. We have to put mounted pressure on these people, whether they are funds, whether they are chiefs, whether they are SDOs, whether they are parliamentarians, so-called. We must put a lot of pressure on them to understand that what we are going through should be their own concern too, and should be their only concern. There should not be any other concern in an Ambazonian's mind apart from what's going on in Ambazonia with its people.
That is the point. And now, before we conclude, Comrade Zama, you came in a little bit late, and there was an important conversation which I think you were not part of from the beginning. I want to play this audio from the ANSC, and you will react, and that will definitely be where we will conclude the program of tonight. We will be back.
Fellow Ambazonians, NSCD give a 21-gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANSC from Kombone Town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, it go around with arms. They terrorize citizens them for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republique du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians we don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We did the monitor from the time when they been notify us of atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it come to terrorism like this one, when they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with this terrorist and La Republic collaborator, what they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Compone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that is spokesman for the ANSC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia.
That is it there for you to talk to us. When we have situations like this, you were supposed to be here to give us a briefing. Unfortunately, you were not there on time. But thank God we have you now to make a conclusion. Please talk to us, Eswezoma.
Well, we have these elements that I factor in this war of liberation that La Republique keep funding. They do fund these paramilitary groups, they do fund proxy groups, they do fund individuals. These are pickpockets that prior to the war, they were pickpockets. Now they are given a gun to go around and terrorize our citizens. We are telling our citizens that they have to get this person out of the community. The ARFs in that community, their primary role is to protect the citizens of Ambazonia. And if that person is a threat to the citizens of Ambazonia, he's a legitimate target for them to arrest him and discipline him accordingly. Even though La Republique is doing all it can to stop our movement, but thieves like this were thieves that were known in the communities. Now they become much more lethal because they have a weapon. The citizens and the ARFs should be able to handle that. His area has been localized, his gang has been localized, and it's just a matter of time. He is not going to fare well. Like I said earlier, he will not fare well because the oppressor would use him and kill him. Or if we arrest him, he may be killed too, depending on how he's approached or depending on how he acts when they come to arrest him. It's a sad situation where we have this group of bandits that have been sponsored by La Republique. We have to keep our vigilance. We have to stay focused to the point. We have to keep our eyes on the prize. And Boya is our sight, our line of sight, and that's where we are going. And even though the distractions are there, we are going to succumb and we are going to surmount all that.
Amazing, Barrister Fru. Observing the scope of this week's conversation, I'm sure you have the last word to offer to Ambazonians before we call it a night.
Yes. Since the end of the General Assembly of the United Nations, where La Republique was told that they do not control Ambazonia, and they cited the ghost house as one of the issues. La Republique has decided now to train. They went and recruited some youths from among our children, youth that were uninformed and they don't know anything. They recruited them. They recruited some from their country, and they trained them in Bamenda. They trained some in Bamenda and other military stations, and then took them to Kutaba, and they were trained, and they have now been distributed in almost all the villages in Ambazonia. And what is their role? Is to ensure that they track down our restoration forces, they track down our citizens, and report to the army, and the army will come and neutralize all our restoration forces or neutralize those who are sympathetic to the restoration forces. And these people have just finished training, and they are now in the villages and in Ambazonian villages and towns. And my message is, if you are in a village or in a quarter where somebody has just returned from Cameroon military training, report that person directly, immediately to any of our restoration forces that you know around. That would help us to track down and get rid of these hoodlums before they do mayhem on our people. And the objective is to ensure that they kill ghost towns in Ambazonia. And I have a message for La Republique of Cameroon. For 7 years, you have done all you could do. You've done your worst to stop the ghost towns. You have not succeeded. It is not now that you are going to succeed. We are aware, our intelligence has made us to be aware of what you are doing. You have killed our people in Mante, committing genocide. More than between 30 and 50 of our people have lost their life in Mante because of your so-called old man sitting in Yaoundé, because of his celebration of 6th of November and because of ghost towns. So we are saying that nobody should succumb to La Republique's gimmick. Our people are resilient. They support the ghost town, and that is the way it's going to be. We are asking our restoration forces to ensure that they enforce the ghost towns everywhere, so that our people will not be in harm's way. And when they get a call from any of our citizens talking about these people who are now strange among our people, let them act before La Republique finishes our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think, Paddy, let me just wrap this up for you. I just want
Yeah,
our
please.
listeners and our viewers to understand that the long arm of the law is long and sometimes slow, but it always turns. It always gets its perpetrators. I want to tell people that during the Cambodian War, there were millions of Cambodians who were killed by the Khmer Rouge. Even after 70 years, the perpetrators, the last set of perpetrators who were not dead, were sent to prison. I think in the last 5 years. So these things are always in play. Let people not think that they can kill Ambazonians and go there. If those that cannot be found by the International Court for Criminality, we will locate them. We will find them. We are not going to relent until we get all those who've been killing Ambazonians to book. Whether at the end of the war, we will still find them. The war is a cessation of hostility, but the continuation of those to look for the culprits who perpetrated criminal human rights assault and will never be forgotten. And they should not think that they will run away in the night. The light is always on those people. We will find them.
That's amazing right there. The best I must say here is ghost town and civil disobedience must continue unabated. I don't think that should be disputed by anyone at any time. It's even surprising to me that some will consider boycotting the ghost town. And according to reports that we're having, um, we're having reports that the colonial administration is actually asking the Boya University and the Bamenda universities to organize serious classes on Mondays. So they are literally pressurizing um, the lecturers and the rectors and some secondary schools to have lectures on Monday. This, for no reason, should continue. Like I
But
said in the beginning,
I think what you are trying to do, it's going to be a futile attempt for people to think that they can go back to school on Mondays. If
yeah,
those things have happened, it's going to be, people usually absent classes any given day in the faculties in Yaoundé and in Bamenda and Boya, any day.
yeah.
That could be any day that everybody doesn't go to school. It could be a day some may go, but at what risk? Do you want to risk your life for one day of schooling? It doesn't change a thing in your life. And I think anybody who is risking their life, the professors, the teachers, and the school itself, if they think that they want to stop the ghost towns, they may either get a very virulent and a very violent form of a boycott. This is a peaceful boycott. They may end up having a violent boycott. So it's something that they are playing. They are playing with fire, and they don't understand the ramifications.
Yeah. Mr. Flu, you seem to want to say
All,
something about it.
yeah, all I want to say is that anybody who violates ghost towns because you want to go to school, because you want to do this, you are putting yourself in the arm's way, and only your family will regret. Because the Ambazonian Resolution forces will be fighting with La Republic forces, and you may fall a victim if you come in between that fight. So stay home on Mondays if you value your life.
That's quite instrumental. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for that. The best I can say is thank you for creating your time to educate Ambazonians. You've heard it very clearly from Barrister Fru. You must stay home on Mondays. While some are in the bushes paying for the war with their lives, it is not only recalcitrance or inconsideration from your part to despise their concerns to this extent. You are advised to desist from this viciousness. You must think of a common good for the nation of Ambazonia and not just your business. You must think of our collective freedom and safety, not just your life. What about the child that was fried, that didn't even have the chance to go to school? What about generations to come that will be in shambles if nothing is done to ensure victory? When you think about all of this, you should know that your behavior today, despising civil disobedience, is an apology. This note, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the exhilarating conclusion of yet another thought-provoking episode of Ambazonia this week with Tapa the King. Throughout tonight's show, we delve deep into the heart of Ambazonian struggle, shedding light on various critical discussions that shaped our nation, and that's our hope. Our expert analysts provided situational reports from the home front, meticulously observing and analyzing intricacies, dynamics, and trends of that defined our fight for freedom. Through their keen observations, we gain valuable insights into the current state of affairs and the challenges we face. In a bold move, Amnesty International and 16 other organizations called for President Biya to investigate his own crimes. This unprecedented demand sought to hold our leader accountable and the leader of French Cameroon for the injustice committed against our people. As we confronted this plea for justice, the question how it would shape the future of our fight was arose. On different note, a revolution within traditional offices in Ambazonia has made its presence known in tonight's discussion. We witnessed the unraveling of the Nsofordom. We've observed how it is being shaken and how things might be changing faster than some of us even thought. This incident forced us to confront the fragility within our own communities and traditions and the challenges that lay ahead. And finally, we addressed the paramount discussion that holds great importance to our cause, that's the Ambazonian diasporic community. Tonight, our aim was to determine whether the diaspora had been a blessing or a curse for our nation. With a diverse panel of revered analysts, guests like Asia Storm, who has captured the hearts of the people of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, we uncovered the impact the diaspora holds in our struggle. As we bring tonight's show to a close, we want to assure you that it has been both educational and informative. We hope that this will ignite a revolutionary flame in each and every one of us, and together we will relentlessly pursue freedom that we so passionately desire for our beloved Ambazonia. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and may the discussions tonight invigorate and motivate you to play your part in the collective fight of our nation's liberation. Thank you. Once again, I look forward to having a conversation with you and our revered panelists next week. Unfortunately, we could not have Professor Bridget Table for health reasons, and most especially because she is bereaved. She initially agreed to be a part with us, but for those reasons couldn't make it. We look forward to having her next week as we link today's discussion into next week. Stay tuned, and we will leave you with ABC Amba TV images. God bless you.
Fellow Ambazonians, NSCD give a 21-gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the NSC from Kombone Town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, it go around with arms. They terrorize citizens for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and they work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians where don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We did the monitor from the time where they been notify us of atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it come to terrorists and like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with these terrorists and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that the spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia.